Hey everybody, Royal Alliance UK, just here for a pre-show chat. I'm Matthew Turner, he's Anthony Fitzpatrick, but needs a new name for the show. If you've got any cat-related puns, get them in. How you doing, Ant?
I just realised I've not changed my name. That's shoddy on my part. I'm doing all right. I'm not gonna lie though. I'm utterly confused with this whole. I haven't got what the hell's gone on here. Why's my thing come down?
Mike the Marine, first-time chatter on Twitch, says howdy from North Carolina. And you've got someone here who's been a... Well, you were a fan of UNC, weren't you, for a little while?
I'm a UNC stan to a degree. I was a big Sam Howell fan, so
And NC State this year as well.
no, I am
No?
I am primarily an NC State fan.
Yeah.
But I appreciate UNC, but I can understand why they wouldn't like me doing that. But I appreciate the college teams which produce players that I like. So
Which is why you also like Arkansas.
yeah, biggest KJ stan on the planet here.
There it is. Let's read what's going on here. Ken says 11 teams running in the negative for cap seems like a high percentage. It is not at this time of year, especially as lots of people have signed players that they're going to cut and that sort of thing. Being over the cap at this point really isn't anything to worry about for a lot of teams. Deathfan Man says, can't wait to hear about Scotty Montgomery, just another NFL vet on the staff. Feels like a prerequisite now. Um, I really don't think that it is something that they aim for in particular. It's just who they think is available. And Ash put this really well in our Discord chat. He listed a few names that he thought it could be. And all he said was, I just looked at teams that run the same scheme that we do and have had success with it and then picked the RB coach. And that happens to be one of the people that have come here. I don't think that was exactly the most investigative journalism piece that Ash has done. It's just smart.
Well, spoiler, I can't really add anything to that because I don't know a great deal about him. So
No, and I
um,
mean, Indy
it's
weren't good
I
last year.
trust. Yeah, but in fairness, look what he's done with Jonathan Taylor. He's turned him into the best running back in the league when he's healthy. And as
No,
we've
but
seen with Juice,
he's only
you
there
can't.
from February 21. He literally only had the last 2 seasons with him. And yeah, 2 seasons ago he was fantastic, but then last season he was an injury non-factor. Was that him or was that JT?
Well, can you legislate for Juice for DeAndre been injured all the time? We seem to, don't really say a lot about Juice when it comes to injuries. So, you know, I don't know. I trust the process. I trust them with hiring staff. That's all I can say at this point. I ain't got. I'm not a Colts fan. I ain't got no on him. So, um, he used to be a special teams player in the NFL. I read somewhere. Was he?
Yeah, he went undrafted. He was a wide receiver at college level, and then he went undrafted and was picked up as a free agent. And he bounced around the league for like 4 or 5 years.
Ah,
Vash says hello and cheers, my good friends. Hello to you, Vash. David Reinfurt69 says hi. Derek Bobarrick's in the building as well. He says we're talking about the inaugural Pro Bowl games. Yes, no, we aren't. No, sir, we are not.
I
Um,
mean, I guess that can come under the Super Bowl preview at the end, like other NFL stuff.
can it? I don't know if I
Um,
want to waste my time talking about that crap. I didn't even watch it. Why would anyone
yeah,
watch it?
yeah.
What's the
Um,
point?
um,
It's like the All-Star game in basketball. I mean, I didn't even really watch basketball because I think it's a waste of time most of the time. Like, get to the playoffs, fine. But even then, I find watching 7 game series a struggle. Like, just give me 1 game or 3 at most. There's no need to have 7 game series.
yeah.
It's too much, especially when the like NFL people have a go at it for lasting a long time. But can you imagine just timesing that by fucking 6 for a season? Oh my
Hmm.
god.
Yeah.
David said, I feel it is better than previous Pro Bowl events. From what I've seen, I can kind of get on board with that take. But
It didn't take itself seriously, which was good. I think it was just designed to be a bit more light-hearted and fun for the players, and they seemed to enjoy themselves. So, kind of mission accomplished there.
Mike the Marine
I
from
just think
MC.
it. Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead. Finish off
No,
the
is
point there.
is Mike about to like hurt me for being an NC State fan or
No,
something?
he's
Or
got a question about draft.
oh, okay.
And we will be very united on this question. I'll say this now.
I can't remember what was I going to say beforehand.
About the Pro Bowl.
Uh, Pro Bowl.
Didn't take itself too seriously.
No, it didn't take itself too seriously, which I enjoyed. It was fun for the players. Everyone seemed to enjoy it, and I think at the end of the day, that's what it is. I think it suffers because the NFL loves to hype up everything as a thing, and if the NFL just didn't hype up the Pro Bowl, and if it just let it happen, and people who wanted to watch it could enjoy watching it, and it wasn't shoved in our faces all the time, I think it would be a lot more amenable and a lot less hated. It's just the NFL loves to hype up everything. It's like, senior bowls becoming a massive event, every stage of the draft, pro days, combine, it's all becoming a big, spectacle. And when it comes to things like this, it's actually, yeah, it's nice to watch, but the way they're hyping it up, it's getting to a point where you're thinking, oh my God, this is a real big deal. It's like with the senior bowl, everyone goes, oh my God, he's had an amazing week. Let's move him 100 positions up a draft board. No, absolutely not. You know, things like this, the off-season process where they run 40s and stuff like that, this should account for maybe 5% of your evaluation of a player, if that. And don't go basing it on what they do in an off-season. College tape always will be the one thing you always go after. It will always be the main thing, and all these little bits here, don't let it affect your opinions of players. It's just because the NFL hypes everything up to hell and you think it's a big deal and it's not. And that's the same with the Pro Bowl.
So the thing about the Senior Bowl with me, and then I'll get to the question from Mike in a second, but the thing about me about the Senior Bowl is the Senior Bowl is a very, very small amount of data points. And yet, because there's lots of eyes on it all the time and because of who's coaching them, they are different data points to what you get in college. And the thing I love about the Senior Bowl is that you get the higher quality coaches and you get to see whether those players take meaningful, noticeable steps between what they put on tape in college and what they're doing now. And it speaks to their coachability, which is probably one of the intangibles that teams really know nothing about before the Super Bowl, apart from just talking to their coach. But frankly, that may not be the best way to evaluate whether a player's coachable or not. And the thing is, a player may not be showing all the production that you would like, but if they've got the physical upside and you know from the Senior Bowl that they're coachable, then that's a massive data point in their favor. So I think you can move people a significant distance, but you have to see something pretty significant away from what you thought about them before. Like it's not that it should wipe away what's happening at college. Far from it. College is king, but there are isolated incidents where I do think it changes things dramatically. It depends who it's for.
Outside of small school players playing against better players, that is good for them. It was like, what's the Chattanooga? Cole Strange last year. It was really good for him playing at Chattanooga and then doing that. And he ended up being a first round pick because of it. But that's when it comes to small school, FCS, HBCU guys.
Or
Senior
D2
bowls are
players.
senior bowls are treasure troves for them. Yeah, well, D2. I don't think you get many D2 players.
Got a
At
D2 quarterback this time round, and he...
He's FCS. Oh no,
No,
he's
he got
D2.
he got the D2
He's the
Heisman.
only He's the only D2 one
Yeah,
there, I think.
but you got the D2 Heisman, and then TDN was saying he was the best quarterback out there. And I
Yeah,
know
for
that
guys
they're
like
only
him,
one organisation, but like...
for guys like them, it's all right doing the off-season, but for everyone else, it's don't be too enamored by what you see at these places.
Yeah, let me get to that. Let me get to that.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I'll go get to that question from Mike. He says, question, if quarterbacks go 1 and 2 overall, would you trade 6 and 18 for Carter at pick 3?
No.
No. Resoundingly no. If you got back 3 and 32, 3 and 30, or 3 and 40, or something like that, I would consider it. But 6 and 18 is a massive amount of capital. huge amount of capital. And Carter is a terrific player, but look at what's happened with Chase Young. Look at what happened with Quinnen Williams. I know where Quinnen is now, but what happened to him for the first couple of years of his stretch, even though he was dominant out of college? Sometimes two guys is better than one when you're up there.
The thing is, yeah, it's just too rich. We've got 5 picks in the top 80. I don't. I want to spend all 5 of those picks because what it means, one, it means I can have a luxury pick. So if I want a running back or, I want like a really high price guard or something like that, it means I can do it and still invest significant resources in my defense. If I'm getting rid of picks, then I'm losing the ability to do that afterwards. I can't fix as many holes as I maybe want to. So I'm just not doing it for that purpose. And if so, it's like I'll just look down the rest of my board. I'll go and get Keanu Benton in round 2 or 3 or something like that. Interior guy, probably the best run stuff in interior knows in the draft. I would go and get him instead, and then I would still spend my picks elsewhere. I think there are backup options. As much as I love Jalen Carter, and I do absolutely love him. I mean, if he still sat there at 5 and the price ain't that high for me, if it's like a third, if I have to give up like a third or a fourth or something to move up a spot and get him, I'd consider that, but I wouldn't consider the other first round pick because I've got a lot of things I need to do this year in terms of the draft and what I need. So, and like I say, it would be nice to have a luxury pick where we can get something classy like a really good running back and still fix the defense because what will make our team better quicker.
I
That's
mean,
just my opinion, though.
I just got this image in my head of us going, we got Jalen Carter, we're going to be the best team ever. And then watch as quarterbacks throw it within 2 seconds to wide receivers with 2 to 5 yards of separation because our cornerbacks ain't shit. Like, as much as I
Yeah.
love Jerry and Jeff, I think we stand for these guys more than any of our, similar people around. Like, we're not jumping off the wall going we must replace these guys because we see the value in them, but at the same time it's like we recognize that they have to make significant improvement or we need to improve, like not shying away from the fact that it's not quite there either. So can you imagine if we make that defensive line absolutely amazing but we can't cover for shit? It's going to be crap. We need to improve in a lot of places. Like
Yeah,
everywhere's okay. Like the linebackers are okay, the safeties are okay, the corners are okay, the defensive line's fine. Let's get better everywhere.
exactly. I mean, you're ideally wanting to double dip corner in those top 5 picks. You need a
I'd
D
consider
line.
it in both top two.
You
I
need a you
really
need a D
would.
line guy. I mean, to be honest, I don't because I think there's good options later on in the draft. I think there's good options later on. So I'd be happy to go one in the first or one in the third because I think there's a guy back there we can use. But I'd be double dipping corner anyhow. I would be looking for D line even if it's not at 6. And then I would be looking at guard and running back as well. I would want them in there. And of course, I've not even gotten to linebacker yet at this point. So I kind of want them 5 picks so I can fix more spots on my team. Because I think depending on what happens with Hal, I think guard's going to become a big priority for them this year. I feel like it's high on their list now.
Uh,
Would not surprise me if Holmes double dipped trenches in the first round this year. If he got Carter or whoever he wanted and then went guard after, it would not surprise me in the slightest because that's what he does.
Couple of things to get to, and then we'll hit the record button on this thing. I think.
Before we do, very quickly, you can stream the line spot wrap page on you, can't you? So I can use examples and stuff.
I can
share your screen.
Yeah, I can. I'll have to set it up so that we can do that. Do you want me to do that now?
Yeah, a share screen helps just explain these a little bit. And plus, we're talking about players and their contracts.
You want spot rank, do you? Because I had OTC up.
Either or.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
Give me a second.
Not now, but just going through the. Because obviously, if we're talking about player contracts, it's easy to have them up, isn't it? So we can people know what we're on about.
I need to be able to. You want me to stream it and then share my screen with you as well?
You can just. Well, you can.
Oh no, I'll stream it and you'll have it on your screen as well. Okay, cool. So, in fact, let's.
Oh well, I've got it on my screen, so I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
need you to
yeah.
share it with
Yeah,
me.
so, but I'm going to try and put us on half the screen and Spot Rack on half the screen, basically.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah,
OT,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to use OTC, and the numbers are going to be slightly different. But yeah,
Oh, balls.
I don't know. I did have Spot Rack up. Let's have a look. They're
In
both
fact, you
useful
need.
for different things. I find.
It's not specifics with them. It's just to explain some of the little bits, so it's easier if I've done it I've done it sort of part of Spotlight.
I just find using the manage roster stuff easier in OTC than Spot
Well,
Rack, but it's
we can
personal
change.
preference.
We can change. We can just change it
Yeah,
over. I just
yeah,
needed
yeah,
to, you know, for the explanation bit at the start. I've
yeah.
just got the bits up there for that, so it helps with that, and then we can swap over to OTC to
Yeah, I
do the
just need
cat
to make
stuff.
sure that I've got the ability to actually share the window quickly then. So let me just make sure that I'm set up to go for that. Oh, one of the things historically is called Will Harris contract details. How about it?
You know what's
Uh,
you know what's scary? You know, I've done all the things on Twitter about where we're picking in the draft and when we last picked at the position. The guy we had today, we've not picked at 180 since like 1963. Well, the last time we picked at 81, guess who that was?
who
We
was it?
traded at Will Harris.
Oh, you don't want to
if
say
there's
that one,
any
do you?
if there's any position I want to trade out of, it's that, just for that reason alone. I just don't want no curse of Will Harris on the 81 spot.
Right. So if
Oh God, and
I
I said I'd draft a corner at 81 as well. Oh
well,
God, yeah, we've got to move. Just gonna curse the guy before he even arrives here.
right, I can't get the bloody thing to work. Give me a second. Because it wants to select. It's not coming up with the right one. Detroit Lions salary cap over the cap. That's what we want.
See, I'm feeling under pressure now because I know Drew's in the building and Drew's a cap guru. So anything I say is gonna be like, no, that's wrong. I've done it all wrong.
Drew said, "What is a luxury pick?" I think, in the context of what luxury pick means, is a pick which makes a good team go over the top, but is useless for a rebuilding or average team.
I'd say for me to explain my version of a luxury pick to Drew, it would be positional value, whatever Drew would hate at the top.
That makes sense.
That would be a look. In fact, whatever draft people minded, positional value people, what they would hate at the top. I think that is what I class as a luxury pick. Like, I don't think you would really want a running back in the first round. Whereas if you did get Bijan in the first round, it's an elite running back to the offense, but I've still got 4 top grade picks to fix my defense. That's what I feel like a luxury pick is. That's my version of one, but
Shook. What are you doing, mate? He said, "Nice cut, Matt. Does the carpet match the drapes?" Oh, and then did you get your hair cut on at the
he's
barber
my
shop
hero.
on Penny Lane?
Oh, he's my hero. My
Oh
hero.
god. Ash just oh no, Big Aries said, "Are we looking for a 3 technique at number 6? I'm hoping quarterback falls to that spot and we can get a trade out. I'd love a trade out." Um, the
You're
thing
looking
is,
for you're looking for a 3 tech.
I'm looking for a good player. I don't care what position. At any spot, I don't care what position.
I sort of zone in and out of this, but I am thinking at 6, given how it falls this year, positional value. If it's not there, then I'm trading back a little bit. So I'm not going to do that. If I want to call if the DTs aren't there, I'll trade back and I'll wait for my corner. I'll do that. See if I can get another pick out of somebody.
Ash had a comment, but he's just coming in now as well. But oh well. He says Garrett Williams out of Syracuse. If you're okay having him sit for a bit because of his injury, I think you were talking about later round cornerbacks. I want people to contribute this year now, but what position would you be comfortable drafting him at? Because at some point he becomes value for future years.
He was a highly rated pick before his injury.
He was
going to go day 1 or 2. He ain't going to drop that far.
Oh,
hell that.
He's out the day 2 at the moment.
Yeah, well, these things, someone will pick him.
Do you think?
Injuries don't ban Jack's players that much. In his case, and how good a corner he can be, injury won't ban Jackson that bad.
We shall see. How you doing, Ash? You right?
Oh,
Hello, I'm
Cannot.
good. I'm
Oh,
good.
there we go.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I forgot to turn on my mic. Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited I've got this right, as you saw in the Discord. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, how could I, like, because that's all I did. I literally just went through Wikipedia and just looked at RB coaches. So without all the thought process that Pride of Detroit had, and somehow I've got more success.
All right. Shall we get on with the show?
yeah,
All right.
I'm good.
Cool. Here we go.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, episode 178, and I ain't capping. My name's Matthew Turner alongside Ash Soden and Anthony Fitzpatrick. How you doing, boys?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm doing all right. I've just spent today refreshing my memory on cat-related situations, trying to make sure I don't sound like an arse when talking about this later. Who doesn't know what he's talking about? So it's fun, fun things to do on a day off. But yeah, I'm good. I'm not too bad apart from that. I'm just missing Lions football because Chesterfield suck again, and I don't have a good sports team to watch right now. So I'm waiting for the Super Bowl and then the draft. Draft should hurry its ass up and come along. I'm bored already.
I know how you feel. I can't wait for September to come around again, and April's going to be fun. We'll get into the proper draft stuff, and then the draft will come. Best weekend of the year, potentially for me, one of the. But it doesn't come close to actual football, does it?
True.
Anyway, we are going to be talking today about the salary cap. We're going to go into a bit for the guys who actually don't understand too much about what it's about. We'll go through some of the basics of it. Ant's going to do a really good review on that. Then we're going to move to the Lions.
I don't know about really good, but
it's
I'll
going
try.
to be incredible. You guys will be singing from the rooftops about it. Then we're going to be talking about the Lions specifically, what their cap is, what they're going to do about it, what they can do because of it, and where that leaves them afterwards. And then we'll be previewing the Super Bowl this coming Sunday. It is the spectacular, along with Rihanna, who's obviously the main attraction. But then there's a game happening as well, so we'll be reviewing that too. If you guys in the live chat have got any questions as we go, don't forget to just at Roar of the Lions UK so I can see your question and I'll get it in at the end of the show. Just start with some preamble. We've got our Discord channel running, about 100 excellent people in there, and come and be a part of a really nice community that we're building for Lions fans all year round. And college football podcast. You spoke about the Shrine Bowl last time. What's on the agenda this week?
So yeah, both the All-Star games well, the major ones, the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl, have both happened since we were on. So we're going to go through that, sort of go through some of our winners and losers from the entire week itself, and then we're going to start turning our attention over to the HBCU Legacy Bowl and their combine as well. We did it last year. We're going to go a lot more in depth this season, so we'll have a couple of weeks with that, and of course, draft stuff here and there as we go along. So yeah, all going to be good fun. Come check us out on Wednesday. I'm not working Wednesday night, so we should be good to go on Wednesday.
Excellent. Don't forget to like the show, sub to the podcast, rate and review, and 5 stars and all that stuff. It helps us out. Don't forget to download the app at lionsnationunite.com, as well as Herman Moore's project to bring the best in Lions content creators together. And we are a Twitch affiliate. If you've got Amazon Prime, you get a free sub each month. It's worth about $2.50 to us. Much appreciated if you do. That helps meet the running costs of the show. There's also a tip jar in the description down below on YouTube, and a feedback form if you've got any thoughts about the show, about how we can improve it. We would love to hear from you on that. The link again is down below in the YouTube information. And we are running a giveaway. Now you will need to be subscribed to us on Twitter and on YouTube, where there is a mini one after 900 subs, and then a grand prize one after 1,000 subs. Now, I have to actually work out how we're going to run the damn thing. I think I found a way. It's a third-party app. So you'll need to be subbed. Once we get over the milestone, then I'll run it, and you'll need to do after that. That's for sure. But you get to choose one of the following if you win. And it's all courtesy of our good friend Ryan McCluskey, who's got just a few bits of memorabilia to give away. You get your choice of one of these. a Lem Barney signed mini helmet, Barry Sanders graded card, or a Calvin Johnson rookie autograph card. They're spectacular. You can see them on our Twitter page. If you win, that's what we're giving away after 900, and the giveaway for after 1,000 is really, really quite something. So if you're not subscribed already, please do head over to YouTube to subscribe to us. We'll get to that milestone earlier, and then we can run that giveaway. Let's kick this off with some talk on the news. And we mentioned last time about Deuce Staley and Dre Bly when we were talking with Jeremy Reisman, but I thought we'd touch on it a little bit here because we kind of glossed over it a little bit when we were with Jeremy, because Jeremy was here and, you know, we wanted to talk with him more than just about that. It's still really sad that Deuce is gone, isn't it, boys?
Yeah, I miss Deuce. I'm gonna miss him and AG's interactions on there. And you know what? I think he's done a really good job since he came here. You know, one of the coaches who's really led by example, and you feel, you know, he's exactly a Dan Campbell sort of guy. You think those two together, it would be such a benefit for this team. But most unfortunately, I think he wants to go a little higher up the ranks. He will eventually, and we're a little crowded here. It's a shame, but I wish him all the best. He's done a really good job here, and I'm really sad to see him go. But I can understand why, and I hope he's back some point one day. You know, long in the future, when Dan Campbell has decided he's won enough Super Bowls with us and he's going to hang it up, then Juice can come back and take over, and I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. It's very unfortunate what's happened with his mum, and he's had to move closer. But yeah, hopefully he can learn under Reich, who himself is a good head coach, and maybe in the next couple of rounds finally get his chance to get an interview. Because I remember way back last year when we had the Senior Bowl where we were the coach, and he got rave reviews as for his head coach performance there. So hopefully this is like the last little step he needs before finally pushing on to get that big role.
Yeah, and the Lions have made the signing to replace Deuce now with Scotty Montgomery coming on as assistant head coach and running backs coach. Ash, I know that you said you were going to run through his history so far, so why don't you take that away?
Yeah. So surprisingly, he was a wide receiver coming out of college. So he played for Duke. He went undrafted in 2000 and then hit the Panthers off-season squad before getting cut. He then signed with Denver, where he had his most success between 2000 and 2002 as sort of like wide receiver, gadget, special teamer. And then unfortunately he left them, went to Oakland for 2003, didn't make it then. And then he played a bit for the Georgia Force. And then when that folded, he then went back to Duke to be their wide receivers coach. Then went to Steelers for 2010 to 2012, where he coached our own wide receiver coach, and Randall L. there. He also coached, obviously, AB and Sanders. Went back to Duke as their assistant head coach, offense coordinator, pass game guy, wide receivers coach. Then moved to quarterbacks 2014, 2015. Was the head coach of the East Carolina Chanticleers 2016 to 18, but got sacked with a 9-26 record. Went to Maryland as their OC and QB coach, and then spent the last 2 years in Indy as the running back coach, where in 2021, Jonathan Taylor obviously led the league in yards and rushing touchdowns. So he has got experience coaching across the offense, except for O-line, which seems to be something we seem to value with obviously like Ben Johnson and Tanner Engstrand, who are both former quarterbacks who then have coached around the offense. It seems to be one of those kind of hires where it just makes sense with how we set our coaching staff up.
So there we go. That's some pedigree. The guy's obviously been about quite a bit, being a head coach for a college team. He seems to like Duke a lot. Once he's left here, I won't be surprised if he goes back somehow. But there we go. We had to replace him with someone. I am slightly surprised that we didn't promote from within. I know that apparently he's quite well regarded around the league, but I mean, so he's had 2 years with Jonathan Taylor, who is the most, storied running back in the league right now. A little bit of injury in this most recent season and a bad team, but he's still going to be that guy that everyone fears going into next season, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it more coaching related, that Indy team? Because when he was leading the league, that offensive line was meant to be one of the best in the league too. So Is it the running backs coach, or is it JT, or is it the system they were running under Reich at the time, or I don't know, guys. But
I think, like Jeremy was saying the other day, it's very hard to judge a positional coach. Obviously, if you judge Bly off his coaching career, you'd be like, damn, that's risky. It's not very good, but it's not all part of his job. You know, he wasn't DC at UNC, whose defense has been trashed these last few years. You kind of got to look at the players and again see what's said about him. But you've seen what's happened with JT. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, before he came in through the draft and everything, no one was sort of hyping him as the next number one running back in the NFL. He wasn't getting that sort of love, and you know he has progressed into that guy, and you know that because you know fantasy running back one's usually generally the best running back in the league. So, you know, you don't get up to that without having a degree of skill to you. So, yeah, I think his body of work will be positive, I would reckon. They've always had a good offensive line, but still got to train your running backs how to play, and he's been very good. So, we'll see. Ours is interesting. I feel like they maybe promised him we're going to get a running back in the draft because our room is empty next season. So you kind of feel hopefully they're going to give him some pieces to start working with sooner rather than later, because I don't think we're going to pay DeAndre at this point. He might play his final year, but I think that'll probably be it. And then outside of that, we got nothing. So I don't know. We'll give him someone good to work with, see what he can do.
See, my thought is because I actually think it is kind of tied to Swift in a way, because with Juice, obviously, he was more about like hitting the hold, running hard, which works for which made Jamal what he was last year and put everything through. I think, given his experience with wide receivers and quarterbacks and that, perhaps this might be for more focusing on getting the running backs better in the passing game, because I know obviously that's Swift's best trait. Jamal had a bit of struggles there last year. Justin Jackson, if we bring him back, he was kind of okay in the receiving game. So maybe it's more we're moving away from a coach who's looking at how the running backs run to sort of now trusting them with that and working on their receiving skills as the next evolution of the running back position. Because obviously everyone's going to be focusing on Jamal now, pounding it down the middle. Perhaps it'd be easier to sort of have him pretend like going down the middle and then split off in the flat and catch it in the flat and go for 20 yards and get the first down. So perhaps it's just a change in focus with the running backs rather than trying to directly replace Juice.
Sorry, I was engaging with the chat. We were arguing about when the league season starts and all that sort of stuff. So there we go. Right.
It's in March, isn't it?
Yeah, league year starts March 15th. That's when free agency kicks off. If people haven't been re-signed by 4 p.m. March 15th, that's when people get let go. Sorry.
And you have to be under the cap by then, because if you're not, then you get penalised.
Indeed, lose draft picks and stuff. Anyway, time to learn about the cap with Anthony Fitzpatrick. You ready?
I don't like how you set this up for me. This is just a very basic thing. So we are
prepare to be blown away
by how bad this is. So yeah, we are a British podcast, and one of the things we initially started with this thing was to help raise awareness of the game over here and everything. And you know, I don't feel like we've done that in a little while now. We've just been talking all things there. So when we're doing a show related to the cap, we kind of just wanted to explain the cap a little bit to you, and I've done my very best to try and go through everything and explain it in the most base form possible. I ain't gonna go into much depth because you could be here all day with this. So, you know, and if I say anything wrong, if you guys hear anything that's wrong, just pick me up on it, but don't go. So cap, what is it? First and foremost, the cap, it is the amount of money you get to spend in an NFL season. Very easy. There we go. What is the cap limit for this season? So it has been set at $224.8 million. So that is the amount of money an NFL team has to spend on its roster this season. However, that is not the set rate for everybody. There are two factors that can determine whether your cap is higher or lower than what it is. So you've got rollover, and then you've got net incentives. So if you finish a season with spare cap from the year before, you are allowed to roll that cap over to the next season going. You have to inform the league by the day after your final game of the season. So with us, we would have had to let the league know at 4 p.m. the day after the Packers game how much money we were rolling over to this season. And according to Spotrac, it's about $2.2 million that we have rolled over, because obviously we freed up some money through restructures and stuff for the end of the year. We did not spend it all. So the Lions cap for this season is just a smidge over $227 million. So you can't go over cap and then take it away from next year's. You can only come under and add it to next year's total. So we've got an extra 2.2 million. The other thing that can affect your cap is what is called net incentives. So incentives that you give to a player in his contract. So there are two forms of these incentives. They are classified as likely to be earned and not likely to be earned. So as part of a player's contract, you can, and I'm going to use an example here for a running back. So you can put an incentive in his contract for, let's say, $2.5 million to rush for 1,000 yards in a season. If he achieves that, he gets paid his incentive. So how it works, if it's classified as likely to be earned, it means that he has performed the feat before. So if in the previous season he's gone for 1,000 yards, and then the season after you give him that incentive, it will be classified as likely to be earned. And what that means is you have to have that against your cap that season. So if it's 2.5 million, you have to have 2.5 million free at all times during that season to be able to pay him if he earns that. If it is not likely to be earned, i.e. it's his first year on this incentive, it's his first year in the league, whatever, what it means is if he achieves it that season, so if he runs 1,000 yards in that season and he wasn't expected to, that goes against your cap the year after. So that 2.5 million, if I gave it to a running back last season and it was not likely to be earned, that would be added to my cap this year. So instead of having your 224.8 million, it would only be 222.3 because of your incentives. And it works out like that, depending on how much is earned and not earned. So you've got a base set cap, and those are the two things that can alter that amount. But for the Lions this year, it's 227 million. In terms of incentives, we've rolled over $65,000. I don't know if Ash knows who earned that. Not likely to be a bonus. Oh, of course he does.
Khalif Raymond for receiving yards, according to Riz on the DLP last week, because he was discussing with like potential ones for DJ Chark next year.
There you go then. So we've rolled over $65,000, so that doesn't really affect our cap there. So yeah, Detroit Lions cap is set at 227 million because of the rollover, but the base 224.8. Now, what counts against the cap? So during the off season, where we are at this moment in time, it's called the rule of 51. So the top 51 valued contracts on your roster comprise your cap right now. So basically, the 51 most expensive contracts on your roster has to be below that amount come the start of the league season in March, which Matt's been arguing with when it's about. But by the time March comes and free agency, you've got to be under there. So, because obviously at this point in time, your roster's a lot bigger. You're going to have draft picks come in. You're going to have a squad of 90. You can't pay 90 guys under the roster. So it just is automatic 51. When it comes to the season, so the start of the actual season, first game, your cap consists of your 53-man roster, your guys on IR and PUP, the physically unable to perform list, and your practice squad. So when you're taking into account right now what the Detroit Lions salary cap is, so I believe we have, if you've got the spot track thing up, Matt, it's 15 million we are projected to have in cap right now going forward. But at the minute, contracts for players 52 and 53 are not included in that. You don't have your practice squad included in that. You don't have any of your injured players included in that. You don't have any of your in-season spare money that you're going to carry into the next year included in that. And you don't have your draft contracts filtered into that. For example, the two Lions first round picks this year are going to come to 8.3 million alone. I mean, your final two contracts will be about 1.5. Matt, what's about in-season spare money? About 10 million? Do we carry usually?
I mean, they like to carry it, but actually in the last 2 seasons that Brad Holmes has been there, he hasn't achieved that. He's been more at the 5 to 7 mark, and he has ran out each year. So I suspect that he will want to carry as much as possible.
Yeah, so when you're putting your GM hats on for this year, when you're cutting players, you're saying, I've got this 60 million, I've got all this money. Like I say, you've got to take into contract the draft picks. So it's going to be about 10 million all told for all the draft picks. Contracts 52 and 53, about another 1.5 million. Your spare money, which is going to be another 10 million. Your practice squad, which is that's another few million at least you're going to have in there. And any players who are injured. Currently, I think only Tracy's long-term injured, and according to him, he's going to be back by OTAs, so it might not really matter at that point. Right, so you've got your money now, so how can you make new money for this season? Basically, you've got three ways. You can cut, you can trade, and you can restructure deals. So if you were to say, let's trade a player, what that allows for you is to relieve you of all future base salary. Have you got Spatrock up at the minute, Matt?
Yes.
Can you put that up? So, where are we? So when you look at a player's contract, you will see his base salaries, his bonuses, all those little bits in there. If you are to trade him, or if you trade a player, so let's say with Jared Goff, I'm just hypothesizing, I'm not saying that we're going to at this point in time, but if you trade him, that relieves you of your base salary payments towards him. You are only paying the bonuses that you see on there, the roster bonus, the restructure bonus. So if you're going to trade away a guy, it's more beneficial to trade away a guy who's got a huge base salary rather than all those bonuses. So when it comes to those bonuses, where that debt money is coming from, basically it's with all the so the bonuses you paid to him, which we will, the roster, the restructure bonuses have already been paid to him. That dead cap is on us. So we've got the 10 million hit there. That's going to hit us all this season. The only way you can avoid that is if you declassify it as a post-June trade, and that allows you to spread the cap hit over 2 years. So it won't be 10 million, it'll be 5 million over 2 seasons instead. So that's a way you can immediately make money there. And then with cutting, it's pretty much the same principle as a trade, but you have to, so you are relieved of a player's base salary if you cut a player, but you have to pay all bonuses given to him this year, and you have to pay all bonuses to them given in future years as well. So when you look at someone like Taylor Decker, who's on there, if you go down to his cut for this season, the value there is, so if you cut him, it's 17 million in dead cap. And the reason is all those bonuses this year and next year, you have to pay for him. You have to pay for that. It's just the base salaries that you are, freed from. And again, you can do that in a manner where it's either going to all be paid in one season, or you can designate the cut as a post-June cut. You can only do that twice, by the way, and it will then split the cap hit over 2 years. So yes, you'll be paying a guy who's not going to be on your roster for the next 2 years, but immediately you will get more cap relief there. And then the third way you can do it, which is how the Saints love to do it, and everyone lauds them for doing it, but it's really not healthy for your long-term structure, is you can restructure guys. So there are 2 types of restructure here. So if you're looking again at a player's contract on there, you can, so when you restructure it, there's 2 types of restructure. So you can do a simple restructure. So again, you're looking at that base salary. If I use Goff as an example again, I'm just going to round it up. So we're going to say Jared Goff has a base salary of $21 million this season. You can drop that all the way down to the league minimum, which I believe, Matt, correct me, is it about $1 million at the minute?
Is what, about $1 million at the minute? Sorry?
The league base salary, the minimum. It's about $1 million, isn't it?
So I can tell you exactly, because I actually put that in my planning document earlier on this evening. Minimum salaries per spot rack depends on your years of service. For someone with no accrued seasons, the minimum salary is $750,000. That is what your undrafted rookie free agents are going to get. The minimum for a veteran who has more than 3 accrued seasons is $1.01 million.
Okay, so in this example, I'm going to say, just because it makes the numbers easier to explain, so we're going to say Jared Goff has a base salary of $21 million for the season. We can lower that all the way to 1 million via a simple restructure, which frees up money for the cap. And what that means is all that money that you're taking off the base salary will be transferred into what they call a signing bonus, which means the money is basically given to them now, and that value will be split pro rata over the remainder of his contract. Now, as he's only here for 2 more years, You're saving 20 million by that, so that means you're going to pay 10 million to him this season, and it means you're going to pay 10 million to him next season. So you can effectively save 10 million by doing that with him. But unfortunately, what that means is when you go to next season, if you're not too keen on him, his cap hit currently is 31 million. That 10 million will be added and it will go to over 40. Now, there are ways you can get around that, but you will be able to cut him and get rid of some of the base salary there. But the long part is it's going to cost you more in the long run, but it gives you immediate cap flexibility. It'll give you an extra 10 million to spend this season. So yeah, you can do that with him, or you can do what the Saints love to do, or they've done with you recently, is what they start calling max restructures. That's when you can start adding void years onto the deal. So basically, a void year is just years added onto the end of a contract when a player has left, when you can spread out the cap hit to provide even more relief for you. The Saints love to do this. They've only just finished paying off Drew Brees because they did. So if I was to do a max restructure with him, I could add 2 void years or however many, but I'm going to say 2 for the purpose of this. So that 20 million that I'm saving this year, instead of splitting it into 2, I can split it into 4. So I will be paying off to the value of 5 million a year for the next 4 years, including this one. So I'll be paying him the 2 years is here. So it means I get to save money this year, but in those 3rd and 4th years when he's no longer here, we'll still be paying him 5 million a season. So that is when things can get a little bit dicey. And if you push too much down the way, then it can start screwing up your cap in years to come. So that is the basics of it. That's all I really want to go through there, but hopefully just sort of explains a little bit how it works, what you can do with it. And we're going to talk about some of the contracts and deals and what we can do with them now, and the pitfalls and the benefits of doing it as well.
We have got a question from Dan, and it's something we looked at last year when we looked at cap, and I cannot remember how people qualify for this and what the saving is. So I'm going to throw it to you guys in the hope that you do too. I know that it was mentioned by Pride of Detroit recently, which is why I'm annoyed that I can't remember what it is. There is the homegrown discount for players as well. If they've been here for a little while, you can get a cap saving on re-signing them. It's what we did with Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Not the last year, because obviously he left us, but the year before that, we saved like 75% of the value of his deal against the cap because he'd been here for a while. I can't remember why it applies and how much it applies to. Do you guys remember?
Not off the top of my head. Like I said, there are many pitfalls. You could write an essay, a book on this sort of stuff. There's all sorts of little bits you can do here and there, but again, we've just sort of gone through the real base things that you can do. So, yeah, I'm not sure how homegrown quantifies really.
I think Ash is probably researching it now, but he can.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Yeah.
Right. So, when it comes to the cap, in essence, what we're looking at is your base salary, and then you spread your bonus over the years of your contract. And then when it comes to at some point in the deal, you can simply restructure some of base salary for a bonus, and it pushes more into future years. Jared Goff has a cap number of 31 million, but actually if you re-sign him now, because he's only got 10 million of bonuses left to accrue, you save the remainder of his contract if you re-sign him. So if you have a look at over the cap now, and you change the setting from cut pre-June 1st when it starts to extension, you can see that if you re-sign Jared Goff, you will save $20 million against the cap, minus the value of his new cap hit on his new deal. So that's the next way of saving cap, and is to re-sign players.
Or you can extend, yeah.
So long and short of it, from what I can find, is it can't be a QB, and they have to have at least 5 years of experience all with one team. So yeah, Jalen Reeves-Maybin qualified, and then the last one before him was Miles Killebrew in 2018, I think.
I'm just looking down the list to see if there's anyone here who qualifies for us right now, and I'm not.
I think it's it might have changed since then, because I remember them discussing it and saying it's Will Harris, Amani, and there's one other, God.
So people basically coming into the end of their rookie contract.
Yeah.
God, I don't think the oldest player in our squad's been here 5 years.
So, like,
That's a lie because it's Decker.
I think Will Harris is kind of an, and I
2016.
I know that people will hate this, but I think Will Harris is an obvious candidate for that. If you can sign Will Harris for $2.5 million, but he counts $700,000 against the cap, that's hard to say no to when you're crying out for cornerback depth.
It's $700,000 too many, and you know it.
Well, yes, okay, fine. So shall we go into the Detroit Lions cap situation specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
So, because you see it around Twitter all the time, people are going, "We got 30 million this year. We got 40 million. We can have 50 with 60." You know, you kind of need to clear up some of these things here. You can have this amount of money, but it is going to cost you down the line. It all depends on, because again, if you start restructuring these things into bonuses, that's when you start cutting and trading people. You are on the cap for that later on in their career. You can't get rid of that. You know, that is going to be on your books will be on your books till the end of the contract. So there's a lot of factors going into cutting some of these guys, whether you can do better value with what you're saving, you know, whether you've got to spend a corresponding draft pick on trying to replace them. There's all sorts of stuff in there. And as I've said, with having the in-season money, the draft picks, you know, 40 million suddenly becomes 10 very quickly. And you've not even signed anybody. And we've not even re-signed any of our free agents yet. I think Spottrack's saying we've got about 15 million at this moment in time. I don't know what over the cap says. Is that a similar
30.
degree?
So
Says-
over the cap hasn't got the rollover in yet. It's just got that, because the other thing which is going to affect your cap is the other adjustments which get decided later, because we gained 7.5 million last year in these other adjustments, and I fear that it's going to go against us a little bit this time. Just a feeling, because we overperformed and some players did better than expected. I feel like there's going to be other accounting adjustments in there that might go against us. So cap may yet still be lower than we think it's going to be.
There is definitely going to be some, because I think the bonuses in Khalif's contract about him getting an all-pro vote, which is like 1.5, 2 mil, was unlikely. So that's probably going to be hitting the cap.
Yeah, that's
when it's calculated.
1 million, I think it was. That's
Yeah.
what Lions-wise said it was anyway. So I think that will hit, and I think other bits and pieces might hit too. Sewell certainly getting to the Pro Bowl will affect it, I would have thought. Amon-Ra getting to the Pro Bowl will probably affect it.
They've not updated them if they have. Shouldn't they have already been updated, though? If they're not likely to be earned, then they've...
It's one of those things that gets updated a little bit later.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. It's one of those things that kind of happens around the start of the new league season. So we're talking the start of March when that happens.
Oh, well, that goes back to my original point then. This is one of the things that affects your cap, so...
It's a huge amount of stuff. Right, so my plan for the rest of this show before we talk about the Super Bowl is to have a look at the Lions in terms of the cap that they have, the common sense moves that I think all three of us can agree on. So if we don't all agree on it, then maybe we have to come up with a different course of action. But the kind of consensus moves that we're going to make, the other things that are going to affect us that we know about, like the draft picks pending any trades or whatever, just as we are right now, and maybe some common sense re-signings, and then we'll have a look at where we are and what we can then do about that. And that will give people a better idea than just, we have $15.5 million of cap space right now. Because, as Ant, you've kind of rightly said, things change so quickly with the common sense things you can do upwards and downwards that are going to happen, that it means nothing right now. The cap space.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean anything at all.
You can sort of work out variously what you've got, but again, like I say, you've got to take, when you've got your big round figure from cutting everyone in your mind, you have to take into account everything that's not on there yet. Draft contract value, you know, value of in seasons. It's a lot of money very quickly. So, and of course, you know, we're not even hit free agency yet. I don't even know if we're up at 51 contracts for the year.
We're 47 currently, according to OTC.
Right, so we've got 6 more players to add to the roster as well. And even if they're league minimum at 750 grand, still now nearly 3 or 4 million. That just starts eating away into what you can have, depending on how you structure your contracts for anyone you bring in. But it's all relevant.
Okay, so I am going to use right now, I've got it up on screen, the over the cap roster calculator. And I'm on the screen now, it's being shared. So if you're not seeing this because you're listening on the audio show, but you want to see what we're doing, then you can always log on to Twitch and YouTube to see what we're doing here. But we have a total of all of the players that we've got, and then we can have a list of actions that we can do. So we can cut, we can trade, we can cut post-June 1st or trade post-June 1st, restructure or extend or renegotiate, and then we can sign some people at the end of it. So what I want to ask you, gentlemen, is you're the GM of the Detroit Lions. We are, as a group, what are we doing about this cap? Because we got to find some room. You know, we are going to be signing all of our rookies, and that will take up all of those available spaces that you were talking about, and they're going to cost
8.
significant. Well, yes, but we only need 6.
Yeah, true.
So, but we'll ignore that for now, and we'll get there. We've got some players here, and there might be some common sense moves among them. What do you reckon?
I mean, this all depends, because I asked Jeremy the other day, how aggressive do you reckon Holmes is going to be? Because people say you've got to build slow and that, but then you hear Dan Campbell say you might never get to this stage again. And at the minute, the NFC North is very weak, and we are one of the better teams who may be primed to take the division if you invest heavily enough. So is he going to start restructuring? Is he going to start being aggressive with these moves? I don't know. All I know is, because if you've got the list up this season, you see how sensible he's been. We've only got 4 players on restructures at the minute, and Vaitai and Brockers were both because we had to do it in season. I think there's only 2 there. I think there's Goff and there's Decker. And Decker may even been done for in season as well. He's not shown a penchant
he was
to
in
do
season.
it.
Yeah.
I think Goff was the only one who got restructured just to make his deal a bit more friendly when he first arrived.
There were 3 restructures last season. It was Goff, Decker, Ragnow, and Brockers. Actually, sorry, 4.
That's what I mean. But I'm saying they were done because of necessity, not because he chose to go down the route of freeing up loads of money. So he's been very sensible so far. So we I guess we're GMs here. So what would we do? I feel like.
Shall I go through from highest cap hit to lowest cap hit what we do for each player? Because it's not going to take us long.
Yeah.
All right, so Jared Goff, 30.9, almost 40 million. $31 million cap number. You save $21 million if you cut him. What are we doing with Goff?
I'm leaving his contract alone.
Yeah, same.
Me too.
I'm not making him more expensive for the last year if this year goes wrong.
Okay, Taylor Decker, cap hit 19.3 million, save 2.1 million if you cut him. Any action?
Oh, we can restructure these deals, can't we? So.
Of course we can. I'll leave it to you to suggest restructures and other more complicated things. I'm just going to give a straight cut number. Just for ease.
I feel like Decker's getting expensive now. He's been restructured already. I would be loath to restructure him again, depending on what happens with us going forward. I would leave the contract alone. I know the cap goes up and everything, but I don't want to be kicking more of his money down the wire. I would stay pat with it again.
You too, Ant? Ash, sorry, beg your pardon.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his contract now. It's obviously 19. It's about the same 20 next year, and then 2025 it's about 4. So if push is one of them, I'd leave it, and then obviously in season if it needs to, he's probably one of the candidates that could be. But right now, I think there's more obvious moves there that I can see.
Okay, moving on down, and maybe the first decision. My guy, Romeo Acquara, $14.5 million cap hit, saves 7.5 if you cut him.
I'm probably going to go on, Ant, you go first before I make everyone angry.
I was just about to say Frank's above him, or is he below him on?
Oh, sorry, yes,
OTC?
no. Why did I thought I'd already said Frank for some reason? Right, Frank Ragnow, best centre in the league, bar one. $16.45 million cap hit. You lose $10.55 million if you cut him. And the reason that you lose cap money is because he has so many years left on his deal and so much spreading of his bonuses out over that time that if you cut him, all of those bonuses roll up into this year, and that exceeds his cap hit for this year. That's why that happens. Boys, I don't think there's anything you can do about Frank. And why would you want to?
The thing is, this is where Frank is in the prime of his career at the minute and playing really well. So I wouldn't mind restructuring his deal because, as well as the base, you can restructure option bonuses as well. He's got 3.6 million option bonus in there, so you could potentially save about 13 million, depending on what you wanted to do with it. But Frank's a top 3 player for me at the minute. So if I'm going to kick some money down the can, I'll do it with him because he's going to be here for years to come. At this moment, I know he's had the injury issues, but he's been playing through it at a high level. I bank on his durability. I bank on him playing well. This is where I would start to look for some money going forward because I do want to have a bit available. I don't know about Ash though, but I'd roll that option bonus into his base salary and I'd cut most of it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Obviously, you know more about option bonuses, so yeah, I'm down for that move. As agree. We've looked at the one that's probably behind is Kelsey. Look how long he's been going. I can foresee Frank having a career like that. So kicking somebody down the road with him isn't a big hoo-ha for me.
I just disagree at this moment. As much as kicking some money down the road is potentially an idea that I'm not too bad with. It's already 27 million dead this year. If you push more down the road on his deal, you're starting to talk about 50% more than any center's ever received in future years. Like, I think it's something that maybe we can come back to. And I will say,
I've got him down at 18 million dead this year.
And yeah, that's the thing. You 80... look at his Oh, you go first, and then I'll.
So he's got 3 years left. So if you're restructuring, you're restructuring it over a 3-year period, and his last 2 years are very cap friendly, like really cap friendly. So, you know, you still have a lot of flexibility left. Further down the line, you've got a out on him in 2024. So you are protected from that way. So for me, I'd be doing that. I don't know. Do we have to go 3 for 3 with this, or
I don't
know.
I think if we don't go 3 for 3, I think we revisit it at the end.
Yeah.
So if you were to cut it, so you'd be at what, about 15 if you rolled the option bonus and that together. You lowered the base. That's 14 million. You're dividing that over 4 years, which is 3.5 million a year. So you ain't raising it by that much if you're spreading it over the remainder of his deal. Yes, it gets paid if you trade or cut him, but I think if you traded him, you're getting a really high pick, and if you cut him, something's really gone wrong. But I don't know. I feel like it's a sensible thing to do there, but if we're going to come back to it, we can come back to it.
Let's come back to it. I just want to see what happens if we do the really common sense stuff.
Okay.
Romeo Acquara, then, I already profiled that. 14.5 million cap, 7 dead, 7.5 million saving if you cut him.
Bye-bye.
Thank God I'm not the only one. I'm scared it's going to upset everyone. For me, because I know there's the 2 big ones, at least the edge of Romeo and Charles Harrison. For me, Romeo is the more obvious candidate to be said goodbye to.
I forgot I didn't give a shout out, by the way, to Dan Pask, who's subscribed to Tier 1 for his 11th month. Thank you, my man. Appreciate that. I am with you guys right now.
Oh my God.
If I look on the balance of probability at where I'm at 51% cut and 49% stay. And that's just enough for me to kind of say, I'm going to go with you guys for now. And the thing is, I'm not doing it before the start of the leagues, before the start of this season in September. I'm going to give him camp, and it'll go past June, and then we'll save even more. And it's not great that we leave that cap on the table when it comes to free agency, but I'm going to give him a chance to prove his fitness because I do believe he's the second best edge player that we have right now on the roster. But at the same time, so my thinking behind that is that I think there are other players that we could potentially get rid of earlier. And then if we can still get rid of him, and we then have more money in season to do things if we want to do things, or if we want to make a run for future years, it's going to create room for those. So I don't.
The thing is, you're not saving money by cutting him later on in the year, though.
No,
don't forget, this is the last year of his contract. He's already had a restructure.
No. There's one more.
No, 2023 is his last year. He is.
Oh,
he has
void year.
He has a void year of 3.5 million. So if you cut him post yes, you might be saving 3.5 million this year, but you're adding a 7 million dead cap for him next season to not play.
No, but what I'm
So
saying
I'd
is,
sooner I'd take the 7 now and the 3.5 next year, as opposed to 3.5 this year and the 7 next year.
I guess what I'm
That's
saying
the thing
is,
with this here.
I think for the value that you save at 7.5 million, I think that if he's fit, he's worth more than that, and so I'm going to give him a chance to show whether he can be worth more than that. But I'm still not against cutting him. But for the purposes of right now, I'm at
He's gone.
51% cut, so he's gone for the moment. So let's see what happens if we do it. So I'm going to click submit here.
I mean, let's
Romeo
take
is
into
out.
account we have Houston here, who is providing better bang for buck, and if Kamish comes back, he's got better bang for buck.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
you've got to look to say, can you do better for 7.5 million than him? Yes.
Yeah,
Imo.
that's what I was going to say. For me, it's, yeah, you cut Romeo, you save that money, you use part of it to get commish, and then you can use that, whatever you got left, to upgrade somewhere else. If it's finding another DT in free agency to come in alongside a Liam and maybe bring back Bugs or Bug, or actually Benito Jones, because he's in restricted rights, so it's easy to get him back. It's just that on the balance of it, the value for money you get cutting Romeo and investing elsewhere is bigger than having Romeo, where, yeah, he might play 60% on the closed edge side, but you've got decent enough production out of Pascal commission that role, and you've got other players the bottom end like Meach and that who can play there as well. It's just the balance of value for money for me.
Right, let's move this on. So the next guy is Michael Brockers. 14 million cap hit, saved 10 with a cut.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Correct.
That's the easiest decision of the. I'm surprised they've not done it already.
Yeah. So someone asked in the chat, which I was trying to find out, when can you start doing this? I wasn't aware that there was time barring on cutting players, only signing them, but don't know.
I don't know if it has anything to do with your cap. I mean, it might be at the start of the league year because for cap purposes. Because if you cut him, you are cutting him in agreement with the 2022 year of his contract, not next year's one. I think you've got to wait for the league season to start for the next year of his deal to kick in. If you kill it now, it's 11 million in dead cap if you get rid of him now, and we can't go over that. So you've got to wait until the new year kicks in.
Right, there we go. That makes sense. So with those two moves, cutting Aquara and Brockers, we're now at 31.3 million in cap, and that's not including the rollover we were talking about before, which is about 2.5 million. Let's move it on to the next big decision, which is Halapulavati Vaitai, 30 years old, $12.4 million cap hit, saves 6.6 with a cut. Eric postulated re-signing him altogether, which I think is an attractive option, given that he doesn't have many more bonuses to accrue. So you're not absorbing much dead cap by re-signing him. But what do you guys want to do with Vaitai?
I want to keep him, but I think I'm in Eric's boat where you kind of have to redo the deal because his deal was backloaded. So the end years are the most expensive as opposed to like Ragnar's where the first years were expensive. So I think you've got to try and be able to change it around a little bit. I know how good he is on this line. I know he's a really good right guard, and I don't think if you're replacing him, you either have to spend a first round pick on Osiris Torrance or you have to go into free agency and spend a good deal of money, because this is not something you can just, and this is a bugbear with me. You can't just plug the right guard position. We tried that this year. It failed. I ain't drafting a center like Schmitz who's never played a snap at guard in his life to try and fix a problem. I want a permanent solution in there. So you've got to have to be an experienced right guard and be able to come up to the NFL and do it, or I'm going to have to go into free agency and specifically get one. I hate all the, I just don't like drafting centers who've never played a snap at guard and go, oh yeah, it's fine. We can just throw them at right guard like it's a position that doesn't matter. We saw how much this year it did matter. So you've got to be serious about replacing it. So I'd rather keep Hal and rework his deal and bring it down. And I think he might. given the injury worries he's had here, given how the team stuck by him, I think he might take a pay cut to stay here a little bit longer and be part of this team.
What do you
And if
think,
he does,
Cash?
that becomes amenable.
See, yeah, I'm in the same boat as Ant. My only like addendum is the fact that we also lost our right guard to the guy who was supposed to be Howe's backup in Tommy Kramer, who remember Howe had an injury concussion the year before. Kramer came in as a UDFA and played pretty well at that right guard spot, but he got a back injury last off season, so he was out the whole season. So if Kramer was healthy last year and he was there and he played well enough, I might be persuaded to say cut, but because there's just that uncertainty overall, because Howell's coming off an injury, Kramer's coming off an injury, he's a restricted rights free agent, Brown's likely gone, and you just got no uncertainty. I'd rather stick with the known quantity. Yeah, maybe re-sign to make the cap a bit better, but just the devil you know is better than the devil you don't for me.
So the thing to talk about with Vitae as well is, so we're talking about the cap. And so Vitae's cap is $12.5 million for all intents and purposes. So base salary of 9.4 and then bonuses of 3. But those prorated bonuses are bonuses that he received already, start of his deal, or through restructuring. He already received them in previous years. So between the salary and between the prorated bonus, Vitae is not getting any new cash if he's cut. If he gets cut, Vitae does not get a penny out of the Lions. We absorb a cap hit because of what we've already given him. So when we're looking at whether Vitae would take a new deal, you've got to think about the fact that Vitae is getting new money. And so that idea is more attractive than it might seem when you're just purely looking at the cap hits. I agree. I think that you can't keep Vitae on his current cap. $12.5 million for what he has provided to us the last couple of seasons is not value for money, even when he's playing. And then you've got the injury worry too. Now, he's a very serviceable right guard. I think he's the best option that we have, but I'm cutting him if he doesn't re-sign on a cheaper deal. So if we're all on that train, what sort of deal would you find acceptable? So I'm thinking to reduce the cap hit. So the cap hit will be $2.9 million if we re-sign him on the current deal. Just to say that first. I would be willing to reduce the cap hit down to 9.5 million maybe, or 9 million, and make the deal fully guaranteed. And that will give him the ability to get new cash. It reduces our cap hit, and he gets wad new money. What do you think?
I'd do it over the 2 years. I wouldn't add any new years on. I would just mess around with the money a bit.
Oh, you would restructure it a bit.
I maybe would I restructure? The thing is, restructure it. You can't restructure it because then his cap hit just becomes way too unpalatable the year
that's what I'm
after
saying. I'd
next,
just give him a 1-year deal for this coming season. Just say, don't worry about the next few years of your deal. 1-year deal. Actually, hang on. So I was wrong. It's still the dead money for. It's $5.9 million dead cap. Sorry, my bad. Even if you resign, hang on. Let me double check. Let me double check what it says here about re-signing. Extension for Vitae safe 6.7 million.
Yeah, he's been restructured already.
Yeah. Okay.
So
fine. So
you've
it doesn't
got to
save
take
any.
that.
Yeah.
No, so that always sticks with you.
Yeah.
And then
okay,
you've got
fine.
the workout. You've got all the bits you've got to pay. Because if you keep him, then the workout, the option, the signing bonuses, they are all added to your cap. As soon as the new league year hits and those things come into effect, then that's on there as well. So, and of course, you can't cut him before the start of the new league year. Otherwise, you incur this year's dead cap figure with him, which is 12.5. So I don't know specifically what I'd do in terms of the deal, but I'd just try and lower it a bit, just like a few million a year less, something like that. Like I say, maybe add some more in his second year, maybe add more bonuses, give him incentives to be able to reach his deal if he stays healthy and he plays. But
okay, I'm trying to do something here with this, so I need you to tell me what to do.
I would just come back to it. We can come back to it like we can with things.
All right. Okay, we'll come back to Vitae. Tracy Walker, you lose money if you cut him. I'm going to skip over him.
Yeah.
I mean, how long has he got on the new deal? So he's got 2 years
2 years left.
So, I mean, I don't know if candidate for restructure's right, but
only save 4 million if you restructure him.
Yeah, I know, but it depends on how, because at this minute we're saving a lot of guys, so money's going to be in short supply very quickly.
Okay.
Let's call it a comeback then.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
Jeff Okuda, $10.6 million cap hit. It is all dead money.
It's his fifth year, isn't it?
Is it
No.
his fifth year? Fourth year.
Fourth. Ooh.
It's because all the money's in signing and roster bonuses. So once that's all been paid, it's on your cap for good.
So there's nothing we can do about that. The only thing we can do is re-sign him.
You can cut it. You can cut him to say 5 million because the signing bonus has not been paid yet. That's what that whole bit's about. You can save about half the money. He's worth 5.5 million dead. The contract's worth 10.6, so you can save 5.1 by cutting him.
Oh, that's not what OTC says. It says it's all dead. But anyway, okay. But I'm presuming we're keeping him anyway.
Yeah.
At this point, we're cornerback needy as it is. So let's move it on from Jeff, and we move to Aiden Hutchinson. Let's move it on there. Charles Harris, 8 million cap, 4 million saving if you cut Charles.
So Charles is in the last year of his deal, so I would leave it well enough alone. He's already got a void year next year. I don't really want to add to that. So I would just let him play out his contract here, and if he does well enough, give him a new one at the end of the season. I mean, if you're gonna do the restructure here, you save 3 million. Sorry, 2.5. So I mean that raises next year's void year to 3.4 million. So if you want to save 2.5 for a little bit next year, but it don't feel like a lot.
I think it's a candidate for cut.
Yeah, same. It's either you let him play out as the open edge 2, or you just cut bait and try and get cheaper.
I mean, you're only saving 2.1 million. Are you replacing it with that?
4 million.
I don't think
4 million.
his dead cap is 3.9 million. Oh right.
Yeah, and his cap is 8. So you save 4. I think it's borderline.
I think you do one of Romeo or Charles.
Yeah,
you are putting a lot of dead money on the books if you cut them both, and
it's all
I know
dead money if
both
they stay on the roster though.
Well, you get production out of them potentially.
Maybe.
So it's I think it's a case of you put your hat on one, and then cut the other. I don't know. Romeo's has been such a big injury, and there was nothing towards the end of last year really. Has he got an off season in him? I don't know. But Charles did all right the year before. It's unfortunate with the injury. It can't be helped. Unfortunately, I'd rather give.
I kind of feel like between Comish, if he comes back and he's begging for it, so you got to think that he is. Hutch, Houston.
You need a vet in there though. I know Comish is technically a vet, but I think you need that guy who. I feel like you need one of Harris or Romeo in there just to give depth to your room and get some experience in there.
At the start, I thought keep them both, and the longer it's gone on, I've transitioned more to cut them both. But if you want to say at least we'll come back to it or we'll keep him, I'm happy with that.
We're coming back to more than we're deciding on.
I know. But that's the problem with where we're at. We've restructured or signed people to the deals that make this year 2 decision quite difficult.
Well, I'd say restructure-wise, it's not that bad in terms of what other teams have done. It's fairly reasonable, but I think what you're saving 4 for Charles and 7.5 for Romeo. I just feel like you take the 7.5 instead. I use that extra money.
I don't hate the idea of restructuring him. I don't.
Who?
Harris.
Who?
Harris. I think that's a good idea.
Well, as I say, you'll add 2. You save 2.5 million.
Yeah.
And you add 2.5 next year. But I mean, 3.4 is that's not a terrible cap hit. That's not a terrible dead hit for next year.
No.
So
should we do that? Would you be up for that, Ash?
Let's restructure. Yeah. Let's restructure Charles then.
All right.
We'll move a bit in there.
It's asking me what to put as his base salary. How do I? So I need to
One.
put that as 1, right?
Yeah,
1.01. I think.
Just put a straight 1 in there.
There we go. That's done it.
Makes everything good for the numbers.
Right, Penny Sewell, I think we can skip over because there's nothing we can do about him.
Yeah.
DJ Chark, it is on the books as a player because until the league season begins, he's currently on the roster for like a day and then the contract voids. So he is not a player for the season. Ergo, he is effectively cut. So I am confirming him as cut.
But we have 2 years of dead money to look forward to.
What 1 year rolled up?
One
year.
year.
1 year, sorry.
It rolls up into that 1 year. So
yeah, it does. 6 million dead this year.
But this
and I was going to say, technically we can extend him then, because I'm for re-signing him, which under the rules of what we're doing here would be an extension, wouldn't it?
But I'm not sure whether you actually. So yeah, if you extend him, you actually somehow lose cap.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I was hoping
really sure
we could.
How that
No, because you're adding more money onto that dead. Whatever you pay him this year is getting added onto that dead.
I see.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, so right. The thing about Chark and what everyone, even Eric in the breakdown podcast that I listened to earlier, what everyone misses about dead money is that it's dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't change whether the player stays, goes, whatever. That money is dead. So when we're talking about re-signing players like Chark, they are off the roster and their cap hit is 0. The dead money against the Lions is 6 million. But if the dead money was against anyone else, why are you holding it against Chark now? Like, if we re-sign Chark for 7 million now, his cap hit isn't 13, it's 7 for Chark and 6 dead from a previous deal, which makes no difference. At the end of the day, if you get Chark for 7, or another wide receiver for 7, cap hit's the same.
He's still costing you 13 million in
He's
effect.
costing you 13 million, that's true. It's semantics, but it's about what the money is actually doing for you. That 6 million's dead and it ain't going away whether you re-sign him or not. So stop talking about it, not you guys, but other people out there. And I'm not having a go at Eric, but he made the point like this, and it's like, no, what when people who are listening to the show don't really understand what's going on, they go, oh, wow, we can't re-sign Chark because I can't pay a wide receiver $15 million for the year. And it's like, but you're not, because if you're replacing him with someone else of his caliber and it also costs the same amount of money, why don't you combine those two together and say we've paid for that position that money? Then you're comparing like with like. But you have to compare like with like.
Yeah, and you're spending a bit. I mean, the guy at, the right uber smart guy at PFF who does all the contract stuff, he reckons it's going to be about 3 years, 35 million for him. Yeah. So you are looking about between 11 and 12 million a year.
That's rich.
And he's got 24 million guaranteed in that deal as well. So you're guaranteeing eight a year on average.
The thing is, when he came back, he was bloody good.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You've got to wonder if he takes a deal with us. I think ideal situation for me is he takes another 1 year deal, maybe a little less than what he's on now, and we don't mess around void year in it or anything like that, and we give him another chance to prove himself as a guy who you can give that sort of a deal to. That would be my ideal scenario. We're getting on to re-signs later, I guess.
Yeah, just pro per game bonuses, that kind of thing, just to make it easier.
So I'm just cutting him. Oh, that's Saul. I've just cut. Whoops. There we go.
Oh no, please don't cut Saul.
Matt just cut Penny Sewell.
He was disappointed by Saul falling over in the Pro Bowl.
Oh no!
Wasn't that just the greatest recovery of ever?
Yeah.
The way he just recovers that so seamlessly, it's almost like it was planned. That's just how much he saved himself on that.
Yeah, I was like, he just expected the ball to be a bit tougher than it was. I guess he hasn't watched the hole in the wall enough. And
then I think after that,
now we're
there's Reynolds. Bye bye.
Reynolds comes in a little bit. We've got Khalif Raymond first, and this is a decision. 4.05 million cap, save 3.125 million.
Oh, he's gone up somewhere because he's still only registered as 3 on SpotTrack.
So The thing about this, and this is why I just prefer over the cap because I can actually see what's going on one page. Spot track is so wide that I can't see it easily.
Yeah.
And the two entities describe things in different ways and list things at different times. I think they equal each other out eventually, but it takes some time. Yeah. So Leaf's deal, you save 3/4 of his deal, which is $4 million, and he's an All-Pro last year. He was a terrific returner, and he was our wide receiver 2 in terms of receiving yards. But for someone of his skill set, saving three and an eighth million is a lot of money. I'm keeping him. But I don't like it. It's
You
a
know
lot
what?
of money.
If you'd have asked me every day over the last 12 months, up to probably about a month ago, I would have said cut. But I don't know. He started to win me over a little bit. I just think what he does I think he is to this system now what we hoped he would be. You know, the gadget guy who can do a little bit of everything and add more to your offense. And I feel like he's grown into that role. And yeah, I like the 3 million in savings. It's just, can I replace what he is for 3 million? I maybe could, but he's accustomed to our system because he's been here a while now, and he offers us so much versatility. You kind of have to go to the draft for a guy like that now, and as we've seen, the guys are so hit and miss. Because a lot of these all pro, all these old gadget guys who come out of college are small, so you could go after someone from there this year, but he just might not work. He might be a Calvin Austin instead of a Jamal Agnew or a Khalif Raymond. So
Yeah.
when I'm doing my value thing in my head, I'm red flagging on the value whether I can do better by cutting him. So I would keep him, and I'm starting to grow fond of him, which I never thought I would say ever.
He's a very likable guy.
So I'm saying keep him. How many years is left on the deal? Is this his last year?
I think it's his last year.
I think.
So
He's 29 as well.
I can't kick the can or anything either. I ride out this last year, I think, and then
I'm possibly just giving him one year deals for the rest of his career.
See, that's it. You've got to think about future cap as well. With the amount of money and players we're going to have to sign, you've got to be very careful about kicking money into the future, because it could be the difference between some of these players coming back and not. So
we're still not even a third of the way through this roster, so I want to try and make the decisions a bit quicker.
Well, most of the others will be. We're not just doing big deals that'll have.
No, I'm doing the whole roster and then re-signings, guys. Come on, let's pick up the pace. Let's go.
Okay.
Jameson Williams ignoring second year of a round 1 deal. Can't do anything with that. Josh Reynolds, 3.9.
I'm cutting. Yeah,
I'm cutting as well. Apologies to Dan Pask in the chat who said if chart goes, I'm keeping Reynolds.
They play different positions. So Reynolds is pretty much just a Z kind of guy, the second like a wide receiver 2 kind of body. He doesn't have the body or skill set to be a Chark like X contested catch guy.
Yeah,
he was
at the
here
end of
as
the day,
like
Jameson's going to take his spot.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not even position; it's value.
And value.
If I can get away with 750 grand in dead and save like 3.2 million, absolutely, I'm doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Reynolds was good last year when Goff had had chemistry with no one else. Look at this season, even with him there, with all this chemistry, Reynolds was like, I can't even remember him making a big play, and that's something. So for me, he's outlived his value in a way because he was there as the chemistry guy. Goff's there now. So what is he other than like a backup to JMO?
All right.
Yeah, right. Moving it on. Jack Fox. No discussion required. Jonah Jackson, 3.2 million, save 2.9 if you cut him. But I think he might be a candidate for re-signing.
He's going to get paid a lot of money.
I do think
a lot of money.
For all intents and purposes, with the way the league is going, even if you re-sign Jonah, I believe that they will make that take effect from the end of the 2023 season.
Yeah.
Oh, so, they'll not sign him till next year.
Even if the deal gets agreed now, it won't take effect until later, because that's what Patrick Mahomes did. They signed it a year before, and then it took effect at the end of the current season, I think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like what
Did you-
we did with, I think both Frank and Tracy were like that. No, Frank definitely was, because it was his 5th-year option included. Then the new deal kicked in.
Yes,
So yeah,
yeah.
we can do that now.
Drew says, why would he pay Jackson a lot of money? He's a 2-time Pro Bowler now, is he? No, he didn't get Pro Bowl this year, did he?
No, this
He's
year.
a 1-time Pro Bowler, and he's a top 15 left guard.
Yeah,
Go back and watch the tape of when he's not in the team. That's why I'm paying
He's
him.
a terrific
there you go.
player.
You stole.
Yeah.
You stole my words out of my mouth.
I'll pay him. I'll pay him 12 million happily.
Right.
Very, very happily.
Here we go. DeAndre Swift, 2.7 million cap, 1.8 million save with a cut.
I'm keeping him, but just riding out the last year of his deal.
Ditto
Yep.
that. Jason Kabinda, 2.5.
Bye. I'll take the 2 million.
Pains me, but yeah.
I'm sorry, but you can get a fullback for cheaper than that.
I would agree with you guys, and yet I don't think they will.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Yeah, they do love him a lot.
But we're the GMs here.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
What we say goes. What we say goes.
Fine.
Just 2 million for a fullback.
See, you guys can't in the comments can't call us biased, because this is a friend of the show we're cutting here.
Yeah,
friend of the pod, and
he's the only current player who's ever been on this podcast. So
Yeah.
I do this reluctantly, but I'm looking to save money. So bye, Jason.
Levi Onzarike, 2.2 million cap, save $579,000 with a cut.
Keep him.
It's gone.
He's gone.
Well, unfortunately, you need 3 votes. So yeah.
I
think if he even becomes half good just for this 1 year, you're getting more than $570,000 worth of production. It's not going to take much for him to earn what you're saving.
I agree with what you're saying. What if you're told he will not play until 2024? Which
Well, in that scenario,
that is the likely situation at the moment.
Says who?
Says Dan Campbell.
Yeah, remember, because he was asked about it in mid-season. It's like, yeah, he's not looking good for next season. He's having spinal fusion surgery.
They don't. Dan Campbell said he doesn't think he'll return next year.
Well, with scenario right now, we don't know that. So I'm keeping him for $500,000 right now. If that changes, I'll change my mind.
Right. Okay, we'll move on to our next player, which is Josh Pascal. He's a rookie, unlikely to be cut. In fact, won't be cut. So I'll just move on. Julian Aquara, 1.6 million hit, 1.3 million save. Everyone's waving their hands. He's gone, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Aleem McNeil, you can shove it if you think he's going anywhere, and we really can't do anything with his deal either. It's only 1.4 million, so you're really at the thin slice of the wedge now. At the moment, these decisions are now more cut or keep rather than anything else, because the maneuvering doesn't do anything here. Melifonwu, 1.3 million dead. Sorry, 1.3 million cap, 885,000 save.
He's gone. He's gone for me.
I'm keeping him.
The staff are screwing him, so the sooner they stop screwing him, the sooner we'll get a good player out of him. So book your ideas up. Hopefully Dre Bly will know what to do.
Logan Stenberg, 1.2 million cap, 1 million save. It's a big number. It's a big number to save.
Don't do this. Don't do this to me.
I know what your heart's saying, but the staff just doesn't trust him. Unfortunately, let him cut him and hopefully let him find a role on another team where he maybe can get another contract. Look at what happened with Storm Norton. Team didn't value him. We cut him, and then he makes a role for himself.
And you can save him if you want, but I'm with Ash. I'm cutting him. Goodbye,
sorry, Logan.
Logan Stenberg.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I believed in you for so long.
Kirby Joseph is staying. Amon Ra is staying. Derek Barnes is staying. It's Quintez Cephas.
Staying. You don't get to say in this.
Yes, I'm staying as well. He's other than
Look
Chark.
at the look of disgust on Matt's face.
I'll explain why I'm saying stay. So, other than Chark, Cephas is the only guy in my mind that has the X build. So if we don't bring back Chark, we're going to have someone there, just even in training camp, just to do it. Even if we bring in a rookie like, I don't know, Isaiah Franklin or a Dunze or someone. So we need someone to be that X, even if we don't bring back Chark. Cephas is the only guy for me that we've got. So for me, he's staying at that price. He's staying, and
It's
if he
kind
doesn't
of
make
weird
it,
though, because like physically, the guy isn't much different to Josh Reynolds in terms of height or weight. The fact that he can play the X and Reynolds can't is weird to me, but I agree with you, Ash. And actually, if Chark and Reynolds both go, then that opens up a spot for Cephas. If one of the other two stays, then Cephas is definitely on the chopping block. I think.
yeah,
Hopefully, we're all agreed on that.
yeah, it's like what you said earlier with Romeo. It's a training camp thing. If he's in training camp and doesn't make it, then he's gone. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, Dan
saying.
Pasca's exactly the same thing that I'm kind of thinking, which is if he and Cephas are riding that always injured line way too hard,
Yeah.
unfortunately. It's true, and that's why camp is going to be really big for those guys.
He's earned the right to battle for a spot.
Yes, he has.
That is what I'm going on.
So, James Houston, Jerry Jacobs, they'll be staying. Tom Kennedy, 940k, can save it all.
He'll end up on the practice squad. Let's just keep it. They're never going to get rid of him.
No, but we will save that money if he goes to the practice squad. We save 800k or whatever it is. So
Then,
I'm going to cut him, and then I'm going to add back the practice squad people at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Mitchell is staying. Malcolm Rodriguez is staying. Chase Lucas, save 820k if he goes. I think we're so cornerback needy he stays.
You'll give him a camp battle.
Yes, camp battle.
Jamar Jefferson, 870k. I think he probably stays, but running back is getting a bit tight. He might go to practice
You
squad
are
again.
not. No,
Camp
you've had
battle.
Logan. You've had Logan. You're not having Jamar. Not a chance.
Yeah, we're not
Okay.
cutting. It's camp battle. It's camp battle.
Right,
He's got
okay. So for any, I'm just going to list all of these next people, and you have to tell me whether you want them to stay or go, or if you want to keep any of them, because I'm going to put them as cuts otherwise. You save, apart from one of these guys, all of their money, and they're all around 870k or 750k. Maurice Alexander, Stanley Berryhill, Khalil Dorsey, Jaron Williams, Brady Breeze, Demetrius Taylor, Coyote Owasika, Greg Bell, Abina Eze, Darren Paolo, Derek Dees Jr. I'm talking making the roster, not practice squad people. If they're practice squad people, I'm cutting them at this point. So do you want to keep any of those guys?
Demetrius.
Demetrius.
I'm putting a veto in on that.
Okay.
No, I'm keeping him as well.
Anyone else?
Stanley's staying until he gets a touchdown and I can buy his jersey.
Okay, but he's not though, because
it's not. Yeah.
But he is.
But let's be real about this, Ant. Come on.
All right. I think Eze might get in. I think Eze with a year on the practice squad might work his way in, especially if they don't go tackle in the draft.
So you think Eze might make the main roster?
I do.
Okay.
We need because hopefully Nelson and Skipper are getting launched out of a cannon out of Detroit and will never be seen playing for us again. We need a backup tackle. Eze can be it.
For some reason, over the cap isn't very good if you don't have it full screen. So apologies for doing that, because you can't see us now. Let's see if I can make this better. But I can't.
But yeah, everyone else can go. Imo.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's see if I can maneuver this so people can actually see us as well. I mean, if that's good. I don't know whether it is. Okay, there we go. And we can be seen again. Cool. Right, so now on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see all of the players that we can potentially re-sign. For some reason, even though I've done all of my cuts, it's not telling me how many people.
Do we need to go back over our maybes and just?
Yeah, we need to go. Yeah.
Okay,
fine.
We need to go back over them, and now it's going to have to be by consensus, by democracy. Majority wins.
So I've gone back up to the top. Who else did we have left to go through? Vitae, I think, was the first one.
Stay
and yeah.
Okay.
Was Harris one?
No, we decided we were going to restructure him.
Yeah.
Khalif. I think we were on keep, weren't
we?
I actually don't think there were many big decisions here. I mean, there were potential restructures, but I just think we're arguing the thin slice, thin end of the wedge there. Let's just keep it as it is. Okay, so we now have our exclusive rights free agents. Now, let me explain what exclusive rights free agents are. They are players who have accrued less than 3 years NFL experience. And NFL experience is defined by being on the roster for week 1 or being on the main roster for 6 games in a season. If you do that, you accrue a season. That means they get a season towards their NFL pension when they retire. It also means that their minimum salary goes up. We talked about years accrued before and how that increases things. And if you have less than 3 years of those, you are an exclusive rights free agent. Now, that means that you have varying degrees of ages of people who maybe have made the main roster not on week 1 and made the main roster for 4 games over 6 or 7 NFL seasons, and they never get out of exclusive rights. And exclusive rights, you get the minimum salary at the number of years that you have accrued. So if you have not accrued any years at all, you'll make 750 grand, as you can see on the screen here. If you've got 1, you'll be at 870k. And if you've got, it's less than, did I say less than 2? It's
Yes, 3. It's up to 3, yeah.
Okay, so at 2, it's 940k. So those are your ERFA amounts. The players who are exclusive rights free agents are the following. Benito Jones. Oh, hang on. Let's go for this again. Right, so it starts here. Brock Wright, Benito Jones, Shane Zylstra, Scott Daly, Tommy Kramer, Craig Reynolds, Anthony Pittman. ERFAs, if they are offered, if they do not accept your deal, they are not allowed to play in the NFL. They are barred from the league if they do not sign. So there is no reason for them not to sign if they want to continue playing in the league. So if you want to sign them, they will sign at 750k, 850k, whatever it is. So it's a straight, do you want them on the team on a very, very cheap price? So let me go down this list. And we start with Brock Wright.
Yeah.
So, yes, sign.
So his ERFA tender is 940k because he's accrued 2 seasons. Then we have Benito Jones.
Yes, sign.
I'm
He
on
really
sign.
came on.
Yes.
He really came on down the stretch for us.
Yeah.
I think he provides great value at the big man in the middle for 940k.
Depth.
Depth.
You can never have
Depth,
too
yeah.
much. Can never have too much D-line depth.
That's 940k as well because he's got 2 accrued seasons. Shane Zylstra.
No.
So let me say this as well. There is no guaranteed money on an ERFA. You sign them. If you cut them, then
Still
you
no.
get all your money back.
Still no.
I would be signing him 100%.
Same. I was signing him.
Well, we're going democracy now, Ant. So he's here.
That's fine. No, I don't mind.
It's also partly because of what we saw last year. We went into training camp for like 8, 9 tight ends, so I can see the team really valuing that position again.
My presumption is that Mitchell's ready to step up and do more of the heavy lifting this year. And if you've got Mitchell and Wright, you don't need him as well.
I think you need 3 tight ends on a roster, and he's getting paid basically the same as a rookie would. And I think Zylstra provides a lot more production than a rookie tight end does. So
And
I
he's
think
good, and
as
he's-
tight end 3, I think is terrific value.
Tight end 3 and special teams because he has played quite a few special team snaps, if I remember rightly.
Well, I bow to democracy.
Scott Daly.
Resign, give him all the money in the
Resign,
world.
yeah.
Give him all the money in the world.
What do you reckon, Ash? 5 million, 6 million?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, just screw the ERFA, more money.
Tommy Kramer.
Resign.
940k for potentially a starting right guard.
Exactly, yeah.
At what his peak could be, he could be a mid-tier starting right guard. And if
we've seen what back injuries can do to trench warfare players.
But you're not providing him any guarantees. If you sign him and he doesn't show anything through camp and he's done, then you get their money back. But right now, I think you say I'm going to bank on the upside because he showed good stuff when he played.
But you say all this of like, oh yeah, we can sign them all because we can cut them. But if you get there and they play really well, but you ain't got enough space on your roster because you've got good rookies and you got to start cutting people then that you don't want to cut.
Well, yeah,
it's all very well saying we can just bring them back for cheap, but you might cause problems for yourself further down the way.
But the cutting at the end is the same as not signing them at all, apart from you provided competition for your rookies in the first place and you've made them earn their spot. So, and there's no risk. You don't lose any money by doing that. So if you lose people you don't want to lose, that's fine. But I'm losing someone I don't want to lose if I'm cutting him right here.
Exactly.
I'm keeping him. Executive decision. Craig Reynolds.
He's going to go all authoritarian now because he's kept David, so we're not going to get anything we want now, Ash.
Craig.
Resign.
Craig Reynolds.
He can re-sign and battle it out, but this is the year of Jamar, so I'm sorry.
And finally, and I think this one's going to be interesting to see where it goes, Anthony Pittman.
No.
No.
Oh,
See,
so
It
I
pains
no,
me.
no,
It
no.
pains me.
You are immediately going to say, but he's good on special teams. But Malcolm Rodriguez came in as the 6th-round rookie this year. He is a great starting linebacker who can do stuff during a game that isn't just special teams and play special teams. That's where our ceiling is now. There ain't no places for guys like him no more.
Ideally, Malcolm Rodriguez won't be playing special teams because he's a starter
doesn't,
on
yeah.
defense.
Do you think he will stop playing special teams? Do you think he's gonna?
No,
do you think
I don't.
Fitz gonna go?
But
He's
more
gonna turn up
often
to
than
training
not,
one day and he's gonna be like, Fitz,
more
like, oh
often
no, you
than
can't
not,
do it
though,
no
you
more.
have 3 linebackers playing special teams.
And Pittman is the 3rd of them on the team because I'm doing my little research thing. I think he was the 3rd most special team snaps and also the lowest grade out of those 3 because it was him, Josh Woods, who was the highest with nearly 90, and then Chris Board. And I think Pittman and Board were both in about 310 special team snaps and about 60 to 65 special teams grade.
See, we said this about Killebrew, we said this about Reeves, maybe. Oh no, but they're
Exactly,
good special teamers, we're going to lose them. No, sorry, that Scrub Lions team is in the past now. We are on to bigger and better things. We've got special teamers who can actually provide a service on the pitch as well in other starting capacities. These kind of guys need to go.
Oh, okay, right. I will bow to both of you and not re-sign him. Those are the end of the ERFAs. Next we come to our restricted free agents. Now, restricted free agents are 1 year further along from the max for the ERFA. So these guys have now all accrued 3 years of seasons in the NFL. So in that situation, you control their rights, but not like in the ERFA situation. There are 4 tender levels for the restricted free agency. The first one is called the right of first refusal, and that is going to cost about $2.3 million this season. That tender level gives you the right, but not the obligation, to match a contract offer provided by another team. And if you match that offer, that player must resign with you. So you sign these people to $2.3 million deal. And if another team comes in and says, actually, we're going to sign you for $5 million, if you don't match the offer, that player goes. And if you do match the offer, he stays. So right of first refusal. The next one comes in at the 2nd round level. That is typically used for top UDFAs whose contract have expired. The cost of that tender is about $3.6 million. And if you offer the 2nd round level and another team comes in and poaches your player, they have to pay a 2nd round pick to get your player from under your nose. The 2nd level was an original draft round.
Yeah, it works way up.
Sorry. So yeah, so if someone was drafted in the 4th round and they beat you to that tender, you get a 4th round pick back. Then the 2nd round level. The final one is the 1st round level. It's not very often used, but it was used with Taysom Hill a few years ago. The 1st round tender is about $5 million. And someone has to give up a 1st round pick in order to do that. But in practice, if someone's worth a 1st round pick, you're probably signing them to more than a $5 million contract, so it almost never gets used. So the restricted free agents are quite expensive. Obviously, all of these things starting at 2.4 million or whatever it is quite hefty compared to 750 or 870k at the ERFA level. So the restricted free agents for the Lions are Matt Nelson, Bobby Price, and Ross Pierschbacher. So start with Matt Nelson.
Bye. Bye.
So
you can clairvoyantly read my mind on this one, Matt.
Yeah, so you can also, of course, there is also the option to extend these players at a cheaper level as well.
There is no option
I'm just
that
saying
appeals.
for the people. I'm just saying for the people. You can extend these people as well. But obviously, for some people, that won't be so attractive. So Matt Nelson's been declined. Then we also have Bobby Price.
I'd actually be tempted not to sign him to something, not like one of the big tenders, but definitely try and do what we did with Evan Brown, where we signed just under because Price, you got to remember, I know we didn't see him much last year. It's good on special teams, and he's an athletic upside DB. And with how we are at cornerback, I'd be willing to give him a shot to maybe earn a shot at like CB5 and special teams starting gunner at some price. But not obviously, it's got to be a reasonable price for us. We can't just go and give him a load of money. It's got to be a reasonable price, but I'm willing to bring him back.
So how much do you have to pay for the right of first refusal?
So the right of first refusal was 2.627 million, but you can extend him for. So I would be tempted to re-sign him at something like 1.5, but I wouldn't give him 2.6.
I'd offer him vet min, and if he didn't want it, then I wouldn't be upset if he left.
So 1.01 million.
Yeah, I'd offer vet min.
I don't actually think he'd get any more than that on the open market. He's not shown anything really.
Exactly, yeah.
Right,
no, I could, with the upside, you could potentially get more than $1 million worth of play out of him for a season if he plays well.
I'm re-signing him then for 1.01 million.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yep.
And Ross Pierschbacher.
Goodbye.
Yeah, we've not seen him play, so.
Okay. Now we come on to our unrestricted free agents. These guys are totally free agents. They can talk to anyone else, they can sign for anyone else, or they can come back. I will go down the list one by one. Alex Anzalone.
Re-sign 1 year deal.
Re-sign 1 year deal.
Oh, and coming in with a big decision. He was on a 1 year, 2.25 million.
I've given Alex his dues this season.
You have. I'm poking fun. He was on a 1 year, $2.25 million deal. What?
I'd double it.
Double it?
Ooh.
I'd give him
4.5 million.
I'll give him 4.5.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
To be honest, I think he's earned it. I think in the second half of the season, if he's a veteran leader on there, don't forget Brockers is earning what, $9 million a year to be a veteran leader. I think Anzalone at 4.5 is a snip. I honestly do, and I think he's earned more money. So I would pay him 1 year or I might even go 2 years and spread it out a little bit, a la Charles Harris. I might even do that. Just sort of push it down a little bit.
Tell me what you want to do, and I'll put it in. Ash, what do you reckon?
I'm with Ant because I've bearing in mind in my head what he said in like his post-season interview. His main thing is now about providing for his family. So I think if we give him a decent contract, obviously he's not going to accept the 2.2. But yeah, if we give him 1 year 4.5, maybe 2 years 8 million, with obviously not fully guaranteed, but about 60% guaranteed, and then the rest is like salary and incentives, I'd think he'd take it because
I'd go to something like 2 years, 12, 13 million, and
I'm
not
not
guarantee half
I'm not going
of it.
that.
Oh no, I'd guarantee half of it. I'd incentivize a lot of the rest.
Okay, so I'm going to go for, I hope you'll come with me on this because I can't stretch to that. I'll go 2 years, $9 million, $4 million guaranteed. Five
I'd give him more than that. Yeah. Do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to try and work out how I can make this work in terms of bonuses and stuff. Maybe we can push a bit more into the future. So maybe we'll do base salary of 1.01 million because that's the minimum, and then prorate. But why wouldn't it let me prorate the bonus?
Just do 1 year for this year. Just sort of halve it and just put the 1 year in just for the purpose of this exercise.
Right.
Save complicating it.
So 5 million.
Yeah.
$5 million. Okay. There we go. Oh, I hope the rest of them aren't going to be that difficult. Amani Oruwariye.
Goodbye.
That's not difficult.
Will Harris.
That's even less difficult.
I'd say that is more difficult because the team does love him at that sort of nickel safety role. And if we don't get a Brian Branch, can we trust whatever rookie we get to play that role week one? Because I'm assuming we're not going to go out and sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to a big contract.
I would trust Rory to play that hybrid slot better than Will Harris. So
I'm not going to sign Will Harris either. I think that there's a good chance he comes back, but for the sake of this exercise, I'm not going to.
And that's a Will Harris, and that's a rare Will Harris fan you're talking to there, who's saying no.
I know exactly. Fine, I'll accept it if we get the person I want to be that nickel safety role. I can accept it if we get him.
Right. Let's crack on with this. Deshaun Elliott.
No, I'm keeping him in that case.
Keeping him, yeah.
No, I'm
keep-
keeping Will Harris if that's the case.
I'm keeping Deshaun.
Yes.
Yeah, but not at. I mean, he's valued at like nearly 10 million a year. I ain't paying him that.
Okay, let's just go 1 year for the sake of it. How much are you paying?
7. Oh, six and a half. Six and a
and a
half.
half. Yeah, 6.5. Yeah.
6.5.
6.5 million. Jamal Williams.
I give him exactly what he's on now. Was it like 1 year, 4 million, something like that?
Yeah.
I
I-
mind just saying that
some-
I'm running out of money, so no, I don't know.
I'm gonna go
The
1
thing is,
year.
how much money have we got left?
We've got 30.3 million, but no rollover with that yet. So 32.5.
But is that including all the guys we've already re-signed?
Yes.
Yes.
So we need 8 for the draft, 10 for in season. So that's 18. So we're down to about 13 or 14 million here, theoretically.
Yep.
So we ain't got much left.
Nope. I'm still re-signing him for
What is-
4.5.
Yeah, 1 year, 4.5. Yeah.
4.5. Ugh. Well, all right.
He's-
Okay. I'll.
Right, Mike Hughes.
Can I give him vet min?
Bet minimum. Bet minimum.
Vet min.
I don't
Bet
think he's
minimum, no
I
big
don't
deal.
think he's coming for that. I would say you'd probably take like 2 mil.
I don't care whether he's coming for that or not. Give him vet min. If you don't want it, he can go.
I think he's going then.
That's how I feel.
Okay,
I
Evan
know.
Brown.
Bye.
Aye, he's. I'm gonna say it now. He's gonna get signed to the Jets to be their new starting centre because they're moving on from McGovern. So there's my little prediction.
I'll take the comp pick. We'll get. I'm just
Exactly.
saying that we're spending in free. No, we're not. We're spending in free agency, aren't we? You've got to balance out contracts.
Yeah,
Um,
Isaiah
yeah.
Bugs.
No, he's still going. Bug stay.
Book stay. Yeah.
How much?
Oh, I like Bugs Bunny.
1.5 mil?
Yeah, I was about to say 1.5
I give him
mil.
2. Give him 2.
All right.
Bugs deserves that.
Chris Board.
No.
No, I'm not either. Dan Skipper.
No.
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 Badgley. You got to have a kicker.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Keep Badge.
So, Vetmin, 1 mil.
Yeah.
Whatever kickers earn.
Yeah. Whatever kickers on.
CJ Moore.
Vet minimum. I love him. I'm sorry I can't, but it's vet minimum.
Yeah, I'm with Ash. Vet minimum.
Well,
Josh-
I'm not going to try and argue my case here, so go
Josh-
on.
Go on. Go
Woods.
on.
I don't know. No, go. Just go on. I've always been conflicted over CJ.
Josh Woods.
Vet minimum as well. He's our best special teamer outside of CJ.
I think he gives depth in the linebacker room as well.
He does, yeah.
I give him a bit more than. I give him 1.5 million. I give him a bit more. I think he offers more than Vetmin. I
Okay.
do.
1.5 million for Josh Woods.
Yeah.
All right. Nate Sudfeld.
Bye.
We need a backup. We're
We-
gonna have to pay. We're gonna pay the backup the same as what we're paying Suffolk. We're not paying Suffolk more than Vetmin, are we?
Okay, in lieu of having to find another backup QB to re-sign at vet minimum, I'm just going to re-sign him at vet minimum, and it might not be him.
Yeah.
But there will be someone
Yeah.
else.
There
at
will
that
be
value.
someone of a Vetmin there.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Right. We have a bit of a problem with the number
no.
of people that we've got under contract.
How many have we got?
62.
Oh Jesus! Oh no, but
To be fair,
lot-
we half of these are like camp battles. Remember, like C first and that. So we
can
we're
have
just,
a roster of 90.
exactly roster of 90. It's a top 51
Yeah,
rule,
but if
isn't
we're
it?
talking about trying to get under the cap, we won't have
No,
9
it's
of
top
those
50.
players.
Top
Top
51
51.
contracts. You can have all the players. It's just the top 51
It's top
contracts count
51
towards you.
start the league season in March, but it's all 53, isn't it? By the time the
No.
year starts in September.
Yeah, by the time the year, but we can make those decisions further down the line.
Yeah, exactly. Because remember we were saying like like Cephas is there
Ooh,
as a camp
he might be
battle.
gone.
Silstra as a
I did
camp
actually
battle.
miss a few players as well. Excuse me, Steve O's
Oh,
just
no.
reminded me that I missed a few players. John Kaminsky.
Oh
Hey.
God, you're true. You got to bring him back.
gotta
Oh,
bring
You
him
know
back.
what? I'd give Commissioner Harris style deal. Maybe
Yeah.
not as much, but I would spread it over multiple years.
2 years,
uh,
7 mil.
Yeah, I would backload his deal into a second year and get him cheap this season. Just
2
like
years,
base.
6 or 7 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I will
6
backload it into next season.
2 years, 6.5 million. We'll say that year 2's base salary is 2 million, and then we will need to do another 3.5 million in prorated bonuses. So one's
Yeah.
1.75 M and 1.75 M. There we
Give
go.
him a
So
big
cap hit
workout bonus or something. Give him a big workout bonus because then you can
Yeah.
cut him before camp and not pay it. So
I can't do that with this little thing, but
Okay.
anyway, 2.8 million against the cap in year 1, 3.75 in year 2.
right, that's fine.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay, the other two people I missed, Austin Bryant by
Bye.
Justin Jackson.
Bye. We can
Camp
probably
battle.
camp. Yeah. Okay. Camp battle.
I'll let him camp battle out.
To say if because I was scared then because I was tempted to say like resign because obviously he was one of the best kick returners in the league this year, and he did contribute on offense. But can you replace that with someone with equitable value? Maybe, but yeah, camp battle.
Oh, we found him in free agency. Oh, we found him on the waivers,
Yeah.
didn't we? So
Same with Commissia and
commission
Jones
waivers.
and Jones and Bucks.
And you see how bad this is? Just the overall theme is, you want to sign big free agents to lots of money. We're struggling to re-sign our own guys. That's how little money the Lions have at this point. We're struggling to re-sign our own guys.
So we do. I want us to get down to 53, including the rookies, so that we can see how much cap we have to then go ahead and sign someone in free agency.
Okay.
So what we've done here is we've done everything that we would want to do. We haven't accounted for the rookies, of which there are eight rookies. Some might not get there. Round 6, might not make the team. But
5 of them are top 80 picks.
5 of them are top
Or
80
top
picks.
81.
So even in the situation where all 5 of those make the roster and no one else does, we have 69 players. And we need to get down to under the cap for 51. But I'm going to say 53 just because, I want to be under the cap in
roster.
season.
Yeah.
So we have 16 too many players. 16. So
and,
now
and
that
then we need to cut more if we want undrafted free agents. If we want free agents,
I know,
from
that's
outside the organization.
Absolutely, but we can talk about replacement and what have you. But this is the problem we have. So we have, at this point, we have 17.8 million in cap space. Out of the rollover, we've got 20. And if you remove the rookie replacement, the rookies are going to cost 8 million. They actually cost 14, but when you take away the person they're replacing's cap hit, they only cost 8 million or so. So we have about 12 million in cap space at the moment, and now we're going to get some back because we're going to cut some players. So out of all of the players that we now have on this roster, we need to make some difficult decisions. And unfortunately, I can't sort them by position, which is really frustrating. But can I suggest, and I know that people won't like it, that Obina Reze and Demetrius Taylor are staring down the barrel of that a little bit?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I have to agree because they're.
Yeah, but Demetrius is in a thin room. So, I think if we're looking here, you're going to have to look at sort of the deeper rooms, the running backs. We ain't got that many D tackles at the minute.
Okay, that's fair. Obina Eze as well.
Yeah.
We're in a very thin tackle room because we didn't re-sign
Skipper, Nelson, Paolo.
So I think
Brown.
Yeah, so maybe Eze
I
has
think
to
he's
say
like the only backup guard we've got.
Okay,
backup
so
offensive lineman.
Let me go through some more of these guys who still remain, and you guys kind of just have to remember about the cap depth in your head as well. So Jermar Jefferson.
All right, I'll relent. I hate the pair of you, but I've got to relent.
Sorry.
We're saving money.
Chase Lucas. I would suggest cornerback. I would suggest that cornerback is still too thin.
Yeah, but it's a 7th round draft pick, and I think you're going to have a couple incoming in the rookie class. I think he soon goes down that depth chart. And we've got other corners fighting in there as well. Didn't we keep Hughes, or did we keep Hughes?
No, we said he wouldn't accept that minimum. We didn't re-sign him, so we've got.
You've got to take into account at least two corners coming out of the draft. So I think
two rookie corners, Jeff, Jerry.
Probably a free agent.
And then we have Bobby Price as a special teamer. He's probably gone. To be honest, I hate it, but Bobby Price is probably gone.
Okay, Bobby Price is gone.
That's
Bobby. Right. Okay, so let me find Bobby Price, and I'm undoing that. He's out. Right. But we're keeping Chase Lucas.
No,
he's gone. Okay.
He's gone as well, yeah.
So Rodriguez is fine, Mitchell's fine, Jerry Jacobs is fine, Houston's fine, Cephas. I think that
No,
wide
he's going to
receiver.
have to go in this scenario.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was already thinking he'd probably go anyway. Barnes will be fine. Amon-Ra's fine. Kirby's fine. Melifonwu, if we bring back CJ
Fine.
Moore, I don't know, but he's probably fine. Alim's fine. Pascal's fine. Levi, his spot becomes difficult now because of the lack of. Well, we
Right.
need to cut.
I'll defer. I'll drop my veto on this one because if he's not going to be fit, then let's just.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone above this, I think, will probably be okay for the moment. Swift, Jackson, Fox, Jameson, Khalif, Saul, Harris restructured, so we can't do anything with that. Aiden, Jeff, Tracy, Vitae, I think is fine. Ragnar,
Still
Decker,
keeping
Goff.
him.
Okay, so now we're looking at the people that we just signed.
Yeah.
So ERFAs, I think, are all going to be okay in the main. Wright, Jones, Zylstra, I still think we need a tight end 3, and if we don't have him, he needs to be replaced. So I still think that needs to be there. Scott Daly, Tommy Kramer, we need a backup guard. Craig Reynolds, we just got rid of a running back. Do we need... So I think maybe one of Justin Jackson and Craig Reynolds needs to go.
Craig will go then. Let him go join Juice in Carolina.
And don't forget, we've been very heavy on the undrafted free agent running backs in recent years, so I think we'll get plenty to come into camp.
True, and we're likely to spend a draft pick on one as well because there is a very good. So,
Exactly.
Okay. Anzalone, Deshaun Elliott, Jamal Williams, Isaiah Buggs, Michael Badgley, CJ Moore, Josh Woods, Nate Sudfeld.
Well, we didn't put CJ Moore in.
We did put CJ Moore in.
No, we did not. Oh, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, get him out then. If we're cutting out,
we need to get rid of 8 more players, and I've just listed everyone.
There's one player I can say I'd happily get rid of, but we'll replace him with a draft. Scott Daly, because we're going to be drafting Robert Sondheim. Sondheim, we're going to be drafting him.
All right. Okay. I hate suggesting this.
I mean, we don't need to do this because the 8 rookies come after the new league season starts, so it all goes back into the main 90.
I know, but
anyhow.
what I'm the exercise I'm trying to show people here is
how
let's
hard the money is.
We forward to September. We need to have 53 men under the cap. Who can we afford in free agency? That's my scenario that I'm trying to get to here.
Yeah.
Like, we must fill this roster out by having a backup quarterback worth $1 million. We must have that. There's no way you can go into a season without it. And in fact, it's a position we might invest in because if we're good, don't want to roll into the season with sub backup, to be honest. But for the exercise here that I'm doing, I'm going to keep him. But at this point in time, I'm looking at Deshaun Elliott and thinking, actually, maybe I'll keep CJ Moore over you because hopefully Tracy Walker starts and you're a backup. And I hate that. But that saves significant money and frees up a roster spot.
No.
Yeah.
Other things I'm thinking about here are we have both Benito Jones and Isaiah Buggs, and I hate suggesting that, but that is... And it's not with very much depth, but we've got to make some difficult decisions on who's staying and who's going. We got 61 players, and we've got 5 rookies to come minimum.
Fine, let Demetrius go then. I don't want to, but, Benito and... Benito and Buggs have earned their place here next year, and we need them. And we're going to draft the DT more than likely. So...
Okay, so someone suggested I try and go by position, but it's difficult because I can't sort it that way. But at the moment, we have Goff and Sudfeld at quarterback. I don't think you can change anything there. No. Running back, you have Justin Jackson, Jamal Williams, and Swift. And I don't think we have anyone else. No, we don't have anyone else.
We're going to have some chafe somewhere.
No fullback, because he's gone. Wide receiver... We have no re-signings. We don't have Chark, even. Wide receivers, we have...
Amon-Ra, J-Mo.
Khalif Raymond.
Khalif. That's it.
I don't know where all these players are coming from.
Where's... let me count because I'm not sure this is right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, imagine if we count 13. All these, it turns out we've been cutting people for no reason.
Oh 14, God, what a show 16, this is! We got like one of our biggest audiences in a while here, and we're just like,
Oh no.
yeah, exactly. Thank you to everyone who's joined us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
While
Thank you
we
for
while
listening.
we go through this cat mayhem.
Yeah, while
I've
we
been
waffle
sawing
on.
people off, and it's only 39. It says players under contract 61. I don't know what OTC.
Then
I'd
just
like-
re-add everyone back again that you've just cut. Re-add them all.
Right.
39, so you can add 14 back, theoretically.
No, but we'll probably keep the 8. So if I've just added Demetrius Taylor to make 40, plus 8 is 48, so I want to add back 5. And I need to actually remember who they were.
I'd Cephas back.
Cephas back. I know Ant won't like it, but just for special teams, CJ Moore, because what he does for special teams, I know people don't really look at it much, but he's the one of the best personal protectors in the league, and he's also very good on the trick plays. He's currently second in the league for the most rushing yards for a safety because of his 2 fakes. One this year, one last year.
Right,
We
I'm
had
2
this
players
exact
away.
same conversation with about half a dozen other guys, and we've not missed them a jot.
We're 2 players away, and I've added back the players that we had. So actually, we can add 2 players in free agency.
Don't you dare have added Will Harris back in
I haven't
there.
added Will Harris back. Right, so let me go through the names of everyone still on the roster.
Well, let's just go everyone not on, and we'll pick our 2. Let's just do it that bit quicker.
Well, but the point
No,
is to highlight that we can bring in some free agents.
Because especially on the thing that you can see add external free agent, you can type players in.
So we've done everything here. We have 8 draftees to come, and we have 2 free spots, which means we have 43 players on the roster. The available cap space is $19.7 million, and we have 2.3 million of rollover to come. So we have $22 million left. It's 8 for the rookies, but it's not 8 for the rookies because we actually don't have the players to replace. It's $14 million for the rookies. We have $8 million in cap space, which we can't spend because that's for the in-season moves. So from doing what we did, there is no space for any re-signings at all.
And we've still got to add 2 more players. That's got to be another $1.5 million.
So
Because
everyone
we're still 2 players not on the roster. You said we've got 40. You said 43 and then 5, so we need to add 2 more players to the overall bill before.
Yes, we would. Sorry,
That's
Dan's
another
just
2
counting.
million. That's about 6.
Dan's counting the number of people I have on the thing. I think I don't know, but anyway, we're roughly there or thereabouts. But this illustrates the point that I'm trying to put to people perfectly.
We don't have much cap.
We don't have any cap. And okay, so in there, actually, maybe Deshaun Elliott was someone that I could have added back. And where's he gone?
Wait, when did you cut him? That was not a democratic decision.
It was. Oh,
No,
he's
it
still there.
wasn't.
He's still there. So in the re-signings, we signed Bugs for $2 million, Jamal Williams for $4.5, Deshaun Elliott for $6.5, Alex Anzalone for $5, John Kaminsky for $2.8, and then we re-signed all of our no-brainer ERFAs. We cut all of the no-brainers, and we cut some people who were borderline, and we are in the place where we can't re-sign anyone.
I've seen people in the chat saying that we're short selling some of these guys. It's like, we're not short selling. We're trying to bring them back. We're not deliberately trying to not give them money. It's a case of we don't have much money. It's crazy, which is why with the Romeos and that, you've got to be brutal, because if we want to challenge for an NFC North next year, we've got to bring in some more veteran talent. We need to do that, but you run the risk then. You're either going to bring in high-priced free agents and you're going to backload the deals, which we absolutely do not want to do to be competitive, or we just bring back our own guys again. And that is competitive in itself. You're still bringing your guys back. You're still paying them, but you're not going to see much new blood here outside of the draft. That is unfortunately what we inherited from Bob Quinn. I think next year it gets a lot easier because of how good Brad's been with all these 1-year deals and not restructuring people down the line. I think he's already about 80-90 million next year before loads of cheaper cuts, the likes of Goff, Vaitai. So I think next year is when you can start splurging, but this is what happens. So we're in a really tough spot here. I don't know what he's going to do. So if you restructured everybody, I think, because what Spartrack and that do, they list how much you can. So if we restructured everyone possible to the max, we can free up about 52 million.
Yeah.
In restructures, but then you are kicking that 52 into years to come and screwing up those years. So I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. Struggle for us here to try and figure it. You've got to hope some of these guys take hometown discounts or, cheap discounts to stay here because of the culture. It's going to be up to a lot of these free agents, your Kaminsky's, your Ancelonis. They're going to be the ones who are going to cost you money really quickly. And they're right. They have earned better deals. Jamal has earned a better deal, but we can't really afford one. Not unless we make a multi-year deals and start pushing money down the line, and then we're having this conversation next year about, save a few million here, who do we cut? This has been set up for next year to be where so much money is shed, and we've got a lot we can do, but this year's still a pinch.
It is, and next year is not going to get easier. The reason why the cap is constrained is because a lot of Decker's hit is coming in now, Ragnall's hit is coming in now, Walker's hit is coming in now. All of these players that we signed to a cheap first year of his deal last year or the year before that, the hard parts of their deal are coming to the fore. So we weathered the storm with Debcat, and now we're finding that this is biting us again. But we had to do that to make the cap last year, and this is all a legacy of what happened in the previous regime, and this is what I'm perfectly trying to illustrate to all of you guys out there. Cool Down Rat made an even better point that I haven't even thought about yet. We carried 10 people on IR at one point last year, and you needed to absorb that in the cap as well.
Yeah, they're in your 53.
How in the hell are we going to absorb another 10 people's cap hits on the vet min? We now have zero money if we had to carry 10 people on vet min. That's not even including practice squad players who cost you about 3.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not fucked. We're not screwed. It's tight, and we need to think very carefully about who we're going to re-sign, because in this world, if Deshaun Elliott wants 6.5 million, I want to give him it, but I'm not sure if I can. If Anzalone wants 5 million, I want to keep him, but I don't know if I can.
And that's where the decision comes in. It's you can, but then you've got to multi-year it, or you've got to add void years to a 1-year deal like with Shark, and then you risk future cap. So it's what do you do? We've had 2 years of fiscal sensibility, and we are 1 year away from being a lot better off, as in very noticeably better off. So do you hold the line when like Matt says, we're not screwed. We can put out a competitive team with the money we have next year. A lot of teams can't do that, Saints, etc. But is this where we start getting aggressive and now start to mortgage a little bit of the future? Not all, like Bob Quinn did, but a little bit of it. And do we start to see that? And
well, I think what we've highlighted, and I hope this is what I was trying to prove, Anne, is that it's inevitable that happens. It must happen.
Yeah.
Like, how can you avoid that in this situation?
Yeah, and, someone said in the chat, it's the free agents who are here now, they know our system and they are ready to plug and play and go. And they're known here. So you want to be paying them. You don't want new guys. If you're going to bring new guys in, they've got to be superstars or potential that way. Something that's going to offer you a lot more different now. Otherwise, you kind of have to go down the 1 year throwing them out route again. But Holmes has been very successful at that so far, just handing out the 1 year flyer deals, and he's got a lot to stick. But again, you can see with this close, we might not be in a position where the division is this weak again and able to be taken. So if we push a little bit now and we get ourselves on top, then we can keep ourselves there. Whereas if we miss the boat, there might be a new Green Bay in the future who we can't topple or something like this. It's all very. I'm conflicted. I feel like with Holmes, I think I don't know. I feel like Campbell will be pushing for him to be a little bit more aggressive this year. And I think Holmes will still be preaching patience. I think this is where they're going to start having their first disagreements about how they do this. Because I think Dan will want to keep a lot of his guys here, and Brad will go, we don't have the money to do it. So Dan will go, well, find us the money to do it.
And that's where this hidden superstar who's kind of gone unnoticed in this conversation, but is very key to the management of this in Disney. I know he was here during the Quintricia regime, but he is being credited so much around the league for being one of these guys who's able to find ways to manipulate the cap, to find money out of nowhere, not in this way of the Saints, where they mortgage the future and one day it's all going to come crashing down. He does it in a sustainable way that we're able to do it, where we were able to carry 10 people in IR last year despite having not a lot of money. And it might come down to him again, where if we have an injury, he might have to get his Excel spreadsheets out and see which restructures we can do to free up that little bit of cap. And for him, I think this is his first big chance to maybe put a case out for him to maybe get a promotion. Because I know we're all looking at Ray Agnew and he hasn't gone this year, well, the college guy has. I think this might be the start of where Disney starts to make his case for becoming a GM himself.
Yeah. So
sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say we've been going a long time on the cap now, and I want to get onto the Super Bowl preview. So I'm just kind of hoping that we've illustrated the point, because I've got people in chat saying you've given Anzalone too money and you should cut this guy or sign this guy. The point was to highlight the problem of how many players we have to sign and the money available to do it, and I hope that we've proved that. Is there any final takes on the cap before we move on to Super Bowl? Because it's been going a long time.
I know. I would just quickly say that, you know, the way we're doing it's right. You don't do it. Everyone goes on about the Saints way. Look at all the talent they've lost over the years, and look at how they're not even getting to the playoffs at the minute. You lost Gardner Johnson for late round picks because you can't afford to pay him. You lost Terod Armstead. You lost Trey Hendrickson. You lost Marcus Williams. Everyone goes, oh, but they're superstars. That team's regressing, and they're pushing more and more money back every single year. They are on a slow train of pain right now. That is not where we want to be. Whatever Holmes does, he shouldn't be doing that. So, but we need to do some of this year, I feel.
Right. Let's go on to the Super Bowl preview, and we'll do this quite quickly, guys, because I know that you've been here for a long time watching us. But it is this Sunday, Eagles versus Chiefs, Super Bowl 57 at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. I still, in my head, call it the University of Arizona. Is it University of Arizona? No, University of Phoenix Stadium.
Yeah, Phoenix, yeah.
But there we go. Kickoff 6:30 Eastern Time, 11:30 p.m. UK time. Boys, what are you going to do for it? Just to ask, you planning any events? Are you going out for it? Are you watching at home? What are you doing?
So for me, I've managed last year to get some friends into the NFL. So I've got one who fell in love with Joe Burrow so much that for her birthday this past weekend, I got her like a hoodie that's like his jersey, and I was supposed to get a candle at Christmas that had his face on, the same thing. So yeah, I'll be going over to theirs to annoy them with and regale them with all my annoying stats as we sit there and hopefully watch Slay get his Super Bowl ring.
I'm just watching it at home. For me, I never really do much for the Super Bowl because there's not really many people up here I know who watch NFL and stuff like that. So I'm just going to chill and watch it and regale that it's the last time this year, until September, that I'm going to do the late stay up for a game. There's no college, there's no NFL. It's weird. I can go back to sleeping normally until August when it all goes crazy. So, but you know what? I'm looking forward to it. I really want the Eagles to win. I'm sick to death of already Patrick Mahomes, not because of him, but because of how many people blow so much smoke up his ass. It's just all the time. It's probably Collinsworth that's done this to me, but it's like I've seen people today saying, oh, if he wins this Super Bowl, he should be considered more than Brady as the greatest of all time. You're like, get the hell out of here. He's been on a very good side, which is all in at this moment in time. You know, they're paying a lot of money there. We have yet to see him be under true pressure on a team that is not good. You know, so you've seen, I know some of the Patriots teams were moan about, but a lot of those Patriots teams, they didn't have the dynamic playmakers that he has there. I want to see when it comes to roost and it all goes wrong, can he then still do it? But outside of that, it's just Mahomes this, Mahomes that. Screw it. I want the Eagles to win.
So for me, I try and go out for it because the sports bar in Bristol, quite near where I live, has about 200, 250 people go to an event, and it's £25 per head for a seat at a table with a beer and a burger, and then they serve food all the way through the night until 4:30 in the morning or whatever it is. It's a terrific night. It's like going to the NFL in London. Everyone comes in their own jerseys and just have a bloody good time. So a mate of mine's come around, staying over, and we're going to get ruddy drunk. It's going to be a good day. Eagles and Chiefs both ended the postseason 14-3 and were the number one seeds in their respective conferences. The NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles beat the Giants 38-7 in the divisional round, and the 49ers 31-7 in the conference championship. The AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason beat Jacksonville 27-20, and then Cincinnati 23-20. So interestingly, both teams conceded the same number of points defensively in each of their two games. Doesn't mean anything. I just thought it was an interesting coincidence. I think it's a really interesting matchup because of the contrast in offensive styles. KC is primarily air-based, Philadelphia primarily ground-based, and yet they have started to break those trends. Pacheco for Kansas City has got 830 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns this year, and both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith for Philadelphia have gone over 1,000 yards in the air. So if you think they're too much one way or the other, don't believe it. I think they will try and say that it is the way that I just led off with, but hopefully I've kind of destroyed that idea a little bit. The spread is 1.5 points in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. And boys, what are you looking forward to seeing in this game? You talked, Ant, about Mahomes and not wanting him to win, but what are you looking forward to in the game?
I'm looking forward to seeing if Philly can dominate on the biggest stage of all. Those trenches are fierce, and I kind of reflect back on our game week 1 about them now, and I really don't feel as bad about it considering how well we've dealt with it compared to others. But I think Philly winning it is a victory for building teams right. I think Howie Roseman's done such a tremendous job there, and you sort of look at the staples of that team, and I think it's the right way of building. So a lot of their talent is homegrown, it's young, incredibly impressive. You know, you've got your Devonta Smiths on there, you know, you've got Sanders, you've got all these guys in. But what he's done really well is he's brought in the right veterans. This is what Detroit needs right now. So you look at the veterans he's brought in. Obviously, Slay's there. That was because we had an idiot owner who didn't know what to do with him. But then you look at other big stars you've got there. You get Hassan Reddick in the summer. Just these veterans who take you over the top, over the edge, and can, you know, make you a great team. So you get all that young drafted talent with those right bunch of veterans around them. And he's created a stellar team, which is going to be in its prime for a few years now. And I like the way he's built it. So I think they're going to steamroll the Chiefs. Remember a few years ago when the Bucs beat the Chiefs and everyone expected, you know, it was Mahomes and Brady. Whatever anyone says, the Bucs front seven won that game. Basically single-handedly on their own. The amount of pressure they put him under. I think they said Patrick Mahomes had what? 530 rushing yards away from pressure. That's how much pressure. They just made him so uncomfortable. And they won with the front seven. And I see the same with the Philly front seven. It is utterly dominant. It destroyed the 49ers line. And the 49ers are as good a trench team as you will get. I know they had the problem with Purdy and whatnot, but even when Purdy was on, they were all over them. They got the best left tackle in the NFL by far, the 49ers. He could do, you know, stuff against them. So I think they're going to absolutely overwhelm the Chiefs' offensive line. And Patrick ain't going to be able to run 530 yards away from pressure in this one. Not with a high ankle sprain. I don't care how fit they say he is. You saw he was still limping in that game the other week. And he's had 2 weeks, but he ain't going to be 100% fit. They'll get after him, they'll hurt him, and I think they'll put a real beating down on him. And I know he's him, and he can do all this stuff, but we've seen what happens when a dominant front seven gets it. Even when he's fully healthy, he can't deal with it. So I'm looking forward to that. And the thing I'm looking more forward to the most is watching Reed Blankenship get a chip and then saying how goddamn right I was about him 12 months ago. Everyone's like, who's he? He's an undrafted free agent. He could be a Super Bowl winner to you soon. That's who he's going to be.
The second best rookie safety per PFF. Ash, what are you looking forward to from it?
Completely agree with Van. I'm actually looking forward to actually seeing if Hurts can do it through the air. I know we said about IHA Brown and Devonta Smith getting 1,000 yards through the air, but actually quite a lot of that, at least definitely for Smith, don't know how much for Brown, seem to be after the catch. So I think with Chiefs having Chris Jones, they're going to try and pin Hurts in the pocket, and it's up to him if he can deal from there. And then obviously on the inverse, watching Cox, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, some Jordan Davis, all these big D linemen coming after Mahomes, trying to make his life uncomfortable.
Do
and
we
seeing
forget
if he can.
Ndamukong Suh as well on that line?
Oh yeah, Sue. Yeah, God, yeah, Sue as well. Exactly.
You can bring in Sue as like your fifth replacement.
Exactly. So I completely agree with what Ant said about the building of the Eagles team is what we should be looking at. And hopefully with the NFL awards this week, I know not many people care about Executive of the Year. They're not saddos like me, but he 100% should win it because in the time between their last Super Bowl and now, he's pretty much rebuilt quite a lot of that roster. QB, running back room, wide receivers, half the O-line, half the D-line, linebackers, corners, safeties. I think even kicker, that entire team has pretty much had a massive turnover, and yet here they are, one of the best rosters yet again, and they're in the Super Bowl, and they're likely, like for me, they're going to win it. Yeah. They're favorites. They're going to, yeah.
I mean, this is what. Sorry, this is going to be what Dan Campbell wants his team to be.
Yeah,
I think that's the finished version of what he wants here.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is, and Ash, you hit the nail right on the head there, the biggest matchup for me in this game is Jason Kelce versus Chris Jones, because Jones absolutely wrecked it against Cincinnati. He was a menace against Joe Burrow, and if he can get that sort of penetration, then he's going to make it a very interesting game for Hurts, because I think without that, if Philadelphia can get away from that, and Kelce holds his own or doesn't give up too much against Chris Jones, I think Philly steamwalk it. I think it isn't close. But, sorry, Kelce versus Chris Jones, you know what? I think I back Chris Jones. With the form that he's in, Kelce's one of the best. But Jones has done it to just as good over his career.
But you're not taking into account the fact that Philly O-line is fully healthy. Chris Jones did it against a load of backups last week.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not just Kelce versus Jones, it's Kelce and Dickerson versus Jones, or it's Kelce and is it Mailata, the right guard?
Mailata, left tackle.
Left tackle, sorry. But
you
get my point.
Yeah.
That is a fully fit unit there. That is a front five, and Chris Jones on his own against a fully front fit five. I know Carl Laftis has been getting better recently, but the level of opposition he's facing is vastly superior to last week. The Bengals were beaten, battered, and bruised. I don't think he can do it on his own. He's going to need all the other guys there to step up and work in sync with him. But just Philly have been dominant over everyone on those lines pretty much. It's scary how good they've gotten so quickly in that regard.
I don't think the Chiefs are going to have... So we talked about the Philly D-line and how amazing it is. But the difference between the Chiefs' last go at the Super Bowl and this time is that they've had significant investment in that O-line, and it is significantly better than it was. Now, it still might get overrun because the Eagles, like you say, rightly, against San Francisco, which is a better line, tore them to shreds. But compared to last time, they have Orlando Brown Jr., Joe Tooney, Creed Humphreys, who's potentially one of the best centers in the league, and he's only in his third year now? Second year? Third year? Trey Smith. So you got 4 new guys on that line. It's not like it was last time when Mahomes had to run for his life. There is a world in which that O-line holds up. Their biggest problem is at right tackle, Andrew Wiley. That's a weak link. Now, can Hassan Reddick do that? Because I think mostly Reddick plays off that left-hand side. He can play both, but I think he comes off the left-hand side a bit more than the right. So that is my big matchup. Apart from Jones versus Kelce on the one side of the line, the other side of the line, Wiley against Reddick. It's a massive matchup. And it could ruin Mahomes' day. I can absolutely see it. Let's give us a score prediction, boys.
34-17 to the Eagles.
That's very close to my one. God damn it. I was going to say 31-20 to the Eagles.
Do it.
There you go.
I think it's going to be a 2-score game. Just that Chiefs offense is Kelsey. Take Kelsey out of it, and it's flat. It's dead. He is what makes it all pivot. And when you rely so much on a tight end for your offense to be as good as it is, then it's going to come. You're going to come unstuck eventually.
So for me, I'm going 45-24 to the Eagles.
Oh my God. So I'm the most conservative of us. That speaks volumes.
The only thing the Chiefs have in their favor is they've been there and done that. And now that can affect a lot on a Super Bowl day. I don't know how much of the Eagles team is left. I would say not much.
I think Mailata was second string. Kelsey was definitely there. Cox was there.
There's not many.
It's not many, yeah.
So in recent history, more of the Chiefs team has been to a Super Bowl than these guys have. That being said, I thought Philly might struggle in the playoffs anyhow, because not a lot of those guys have been to the playoffs in recent years, and they've kind of looked just as good as they always have. So I don't think it's really going to affect them. The way they play football is designed to kill clock and beat you where it matters. And trenches win Super Bowls, plainly and simply. And Eagles are better by a mile. So that's where it goes.
They are. Right. Anything else you want to say, fellas, before we sign off on the audio pod?
I'm just kind of sad it's the last episode of the year when there's still NFL football to be had.
It is a bit weird, isn't it?
After this, we enter the long, harsh void, which is the off season. I know the draft's coming up, but we've got no football to look forward to. It's weird. I just miss Lions football so much already. So we need to get around to the draft.
Yeah, we do. Right. You folks on the live show, we're going to continue on after this, but I'm just going to sign off for the audio show. So hang tight. Our next show is on Wednesday next week, Wednesday, February 15th on the main podcast. That will be a Super Bowl review show. We're going to dedicate an entire show, unless we come up with a better idea, we're going to dedicate an entire show to going through the Super Bowl. What we did, whether it was fun or not, how drunk we got, and whether we enjoyed the game. I think it's just going to be a fun way to end the 2022-23 NFL season. The college football show should be coming back on Wednesday. And remind us again what we're talking about.
Reviewing the Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl weeks games specifically, and then going through some of the players we've been impressed by, and then we're turning our attentions towards the HBCU Legacy Bowl and Combine that's coming up, because that comes before the main one. So yeah, we'll be at those next.
All right, so that's our next shows. I hope you enjoy the Super Bowl. I hope you enjoyed this show. You can find us on Rural Lions UK on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the group on Facebook for Worldwide Fans is Detroit Lions Fans UK, One Pride Worldwide. The website, rotluk.com. Lots of draft content coming up soon. Don't forget to check out Tom's video on Devon Witherspoon, the cornerback. Absolutely fantastic. I also should have one coming out hopefully this weekend. We shall see. It depends how adept I become at the video editing software we've acquired. So check out for that. Don't forget our giveaway. You need to be subscribed on YouTube for the giveaway, and then once we hit 900 subs, we will provide details on how to enter that. But you can get your choice of a couple of different things, which include, and I'll just remind you guys what it is. It's a Lem Barney signed mini helmet, a Barry Sanders graded card, or a Calvin Johnson rookie autograph. That's courtesy of our own Ryan McCluskey. So get subscribed if you're not already. If you're on the audio show, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it and you understand a bit more about the cap now. We'll see you for the College show on Wednesday, and then the next show is Wednesday next week on the main show. For now, let's go Lions, One Pride.
One Pride.
Scott Daly for president.
Recording stopped.
Right. Folks on the live show, if you've got any questions, get them in. I've only got one from Dan Pask on Twitch about this, and then we've been going a long time, so I might end it after that.
So which long snapper is your video on then that's coming out?
Oh.
So my video is going to be on Bijan.
Oh.
I saw Ant's nose go, so I'm thinking he was thinking of doing one on him himself.
No, I'm just hoping that you're fair in the evaluation. I don't want none of this slander against running backs in round 1 or anything like that.
Do you want to know where I'm grading him?
Go on.
Because I've already graded him. I've got everything together for him. I just need to actually put the video together.
Go on then. Where have you graded him?
Top 10 overall pick.
Ooh.
Sweet. If you are going on best football players, he 100% is.
If you're
Yeah.
going on
Position.
best football players in the draft, he might be the best player in the draft. Might be.
He could very well be the best running back that's come out of college since Saquon Barkley. Probably is. He
That
could
is-
be better than Saquon.
Yeah.
That is the headline of my video.
Yeah, that is how good he is.
Um,
People should not be afraid if we take him at 18.
So actually, there was one question here from Brian Three Cushion, who I think is a new viewer on YouTube, and he says, "Panel, do you have specific days and times that you can please announce? Please, thanks." So on Twitter, we always announce it when we do, but our usual times are every Monday. We're not doing it next week because the Super Bowl is the day before, and it's a late finish for us. But we're normally on a Monday in the off season every week, 2:30 Eastern. And then in season, we also have a Thursday show on at the same time. And our college show is on most Wednesdays at 2:30 Eastern as well. But the day can float sometimes with that. So you just have to check out for us announcing it on Twitter. We will do the odd stream on other days when we have special guests who aren't available at those times and we want to do a live stream with them. We were fortunate that we had Jeremy Reisman on from Pride of Detroit on last week on Thursday, which was a really good show, so check that out if you haven't listened to it already. But those are our usual shows. If you have any questions, at me, at us, at Roar of the Lions UK on YouTube or Twitch, at ROTL_UK on Twitch. Like Dan Pask, who asks, how many picks on defense in this draft, guys? So 8 picks, how many on defense? 5.
4 or 5. Yeah, 4 or 5.
I'm going 5 and 3 in favor of defense.
If I had
Then
to
I've got-
wager on offense, I would say that we would take running back, wide receiver, and
guard.
and guard.
God.
Those would be the 3 that I would go for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'd spend the other 5 on defense.
Actually, yeah, Big Aries on Twitch just made a great point about notifications. If you have Twitch notifications on, you won't miss anything if you're on Twitch, if you're on YouTube. If you subscribe to us and then hit the bell, it will tell you when we go live, and then you won't miss us, even if we do an ad hoc one. Defense, I think that we will get at least a rotational edge player, because I think we'll be getting rid of both of the 50-50 guys. I just think we need to get cheaper, and I think that is one of the places where we can do it. I don't want to do it. I would like to keep both, but I just think it's going to happen. 0 tech or 3 tech is in play. Corner, we need to double dip. And if we can't afford Deshaun Elliott, safety is also in play.
And a linebacker.
And a linebacker.
That's what I was going. Yeah. So from it, one of those corners is probably going to be one of those like corner slot hybrids that you hear like me and Eric go on about. So we're talking.
I mean, Brian Branch is the number one guy. So I need to do my tape review work on him, because I swear I've listened to Ant before say that he is not quite as good as people want to say that he is. But then I think I've also heard Ant say that he's.
I said no such thing about Brian Branch. I said very little about Brian Branch, actually.
I'm inviting you to say something about Brian Branch.
I really like Brian Branch. I think he's a good player.
Would he be in
play? I think he's more of a safety than a corner. So he's got to go in the first round. I'm picking the corner there. I'm picking hybrids. So
I mean, the thing is,
that's my only thing.
So few safeties go in the first round, and I think he's a safety as well. So I don't think he's going first round. I think that Brian Branch falls out of round 1, and I just think it's so unpopular to say that. But like, you had one of the best safety prospects of all time last year, and he fell into the 20s?
No, 14.
No, 14, yeah.
Oh, he was 14. Beg your pardon.
He got picked by a team with multiple first-round picks.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
you might find a situation where someone with multiple picks might go higher on him. But all my thing is based on what the Lions need. Lions need an outside man coverage corner more than they need a hybrid. I'm spending my pick on the first in that, and that is all it is. I have not badmouthed Brian Branch at all.
But yeah, so yeah, I agree. Like the outside core is big, but even if we don't get Branch, there's two other guys. I'm not going to say one of them because I have talked about him enough. But the other guy is obviously Chris Smith, from Georgia, who is Eric's number 2 for that position, and I think he's going to be a day 2 guy. And I know that because I've listened to the Senior Bowl preview on the way to work. You talk about him. I think you're okay with him, and
He's the biggest. Yeah, we were asked who was a Dan Campbell guy, and he 100% is. But he's really good. But he's a safety. He's a full blown safety, and he hits like he'd be really good. I really want him actually. So, yeah. But Branch will find a home. Branch will find a home in the first round. Someone will get him. Someone who really needs a safety.
So I want to throw out some big love to Mike the Marine, who was a first-time chatter on Twitch, because he's just said this, and I think he's absolutely nuts. Since Eric and Jeremy recommended you guys, I've listened to all of your shows this year.
Oh my.
Oh god. I feel.
Oh
So,
no.
I absolutely...
That's a long time. That's
That's
how
a
our
really
shows
long time.
go.
And then he's just asked us a question, which I think we have to consider now, given that, which is
100%.
who would you like your picks to be in round 2? So obviously we've got 2 of those, don't we?
Yeah.
I need to actually remind myself where we're picking in round 2, because I can't remember.
Just remind me where we're picking.
We are picking 49 and 56.
49 and 56. So currently on the big board at the moment, 49 and 56 is Darnell Wright, tackle from Tennessee, and safety out of Georgia, Christopher Smith. Those are the 2 people in that list. But 2 below that is Jamie Robinson of Florida State.
Oh, don't make it hard. Oh no.
I knew that would do it. I need him. In order to answer your question, Mike, I think that the guys have to kind of answer who they want in round 1, because you might not want to double dip, or you might want to double dip, but
right. No, I just have to think this logically through. So guard, there's no guards in round 2. They're all left guards. I don't want a left guard. I want right guard. So I'm not going guard. Wide receiver, Puka's not going to go that high. I'm still going to draft him. Right. So Christopher Smith will be 1. Yeah. I think I would 100% take Christopher Smith in round 2. The other, right. So if we don't get a tackle at 6, because I don't think we will, because I think that we're gone, then I will take Keanu Benton with my other one as well. He is the nose tackle out of Wisconsin. Best run stuffer in the draft class, full stop, out of all the DTs. I would shore up my defensive line with him. I wanted Travis Jones at that spot last year. I'll take Benton this year. I think he's the next best option, and means I don't have to go DT too early there. So Smith and Benton will be my 2 currently.
To be different, but also the same. Obviously, Jamie, because I love him. But also, I wouldn't take a 0. I'll be taking Kalijah Cansey out of Pitt, who is one of the best pass rushing free techs in the draft. So, he's for what? It would mean you flip a lean between 3 and 0, the 1 tech in our scheme, but he would give us what and Levi was supposed to be for us, that kind of twitchy first step guy who can exploit the 1-on-1 that our scheme has and hopefully get to the quarterback.
So I think the edge is definitely in play. Edge is definitely in play, and linebacker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. Jack Campbell maybe out of Iowa.
I'd love to take him a little bit later. I don't rate him as a round 2 prospect.
I don't think you're going to find Cansey in round 2 either. I think he's going to go higher.
So I think Tui Pelotu could be in play.
Oh yeah, true. Oh no.
No, it's just a personality thing. It's just a personal thing with me. I'm not really, not my preference, but nothing wrong with the guy.
I'm torn.
The only DT I don't want to take is I want to see us stay a million miles away from Siaki Ika. I don't want to have anything to do with him. He's the most overhyped player in this draft, and it's not even close at this point. And I do not care what people see in him. He's awful. So he's the only one I'm literally saying no to.
Doesn't really fit our scheme anyway.
Any thoughts on Sidney Brown?
Sydney's the hybrid at Illinois.
He's
so
good,
he plays but so you've got Devon, who's your outside man corner. You've got Sydney. He's Chase Brown's brother actually as well. So if you want to draft Chase and get the brothers here. But Sydney's the hybrid. So if you want a hybrid, then he's your best bet out of the 3 Illinois DBs. Martin, is it Jatavius Martin, the other one? He's more inside corner guy. So you've got an inside and outside and a hybrid. So depending on what you want, you've got a guy for everything there, really. But no, again, I'm not looking at the hybrids. I'm not one of those guys. But that is entirely personal preference and nothing on him.
The thing is about all of these picks, it's about taking who falls, who's up there, because you've got people who are in really weird territory where they could go 25 and they could go 60, and you just don't know. And I'm including in this list people like Clark Phillips, Rashee Rice, Jalen Hyatt, Darnell Washington, Dalton Kincaid, Kayshon Boutte, who I don't want, but yeah, Luke Musgrave. You've got Felix Anduke-Uzoma, you've got Tuipulotu, you've got Mazzie Smith, you've got Christopher Smith, and Jail Skinner, I think, is falling a little bit, but we'll see. Cedric Tillman.
I forgot JL. Forget JL.
John Michael Schmitz, for all that Ant was saying about not wanting him, but he has played guard now in this.
He hasn't.
In the Senior Bowl, he did.
He's played guard in the Senior Bowl.
So is Cody March from North
Cody
Dakota
March is
State.
going to be in that realm for sure. You've also got
Andre Carter.
So Foskey had a bad Senior Bowl. Apparently, that might hurt him. Andre Carter is going to be a 6th, 7th round pick.
Right. Let's stop this. It's going to hurt stock and stuff like that. Foskey is a bona fide round 1 talent. He is, and that Senior Bowl is not going to affect anything to do with him.
Isaiah Foskey is 33 on the big board right now, the consensus big board.
That's one place. That's one place out of the first round.
Okay, so 2, technically.
Oh yeah, because
let's stop into you know damn well what you're doing. Let's not have none of this technicality. He is. Hey, he's not like the. He is a round 1 talent potentially. Round 1 talent slips to round 2. You say this every year. Oh, there's 50 guys who could be in round 1. Well, his draft stock is not going to fall because of that. So, I think you can safely say that now. He's going to be absolutely fine. And if he drops, then hell, I'd be all over him. I know we don't need an edge, but just for value alone, I'd go there.
So, David Reinfeldt asked, "What's the highest round you take a QB?"
I'm set on Lindsey Scott now. So wherever Lindsey Scott goes.
Lindsey Scott, who's that?
He's the Incarnate Ward quarterback. So he is a very good dual threat. I'm thinking development here. I'm taking a development guy to play quarterback to and to be on my scout team to help the team. But he has such insane potential upside. It's really good. I mean, Cam Ward came from Incarnate Ward. They are a school who know how to make good quarterbacks. And he's going to be available probably into day 3. I'd say it's day 3 too.
And he's not in my big board, and I've got 394 prospects.
Yeah, well, Reed Blankenship was on no one's big board, was he? And he's about to go to a Super Bowl. So.
he eventually got on my big board. When it got to 500 players, he was there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I like to think I get good when the day 3 picks come round. Lindsey Scott will be a good quarterback for us. I would take him day 3.
Okay, so let me list out.
Higher.
Let me list out the quarterbacks and where they are on the consensus big board right now, which might help you guys think about this. Bryce Young, 3 overall. CJ Stroud, 5. Anthony Richardson, 15. Will Levis, 60. Hendon Hooker, 79. Tanner McKee, 92. Jaron Hall, 134. Jake Kaner, 137. Clayton Tune, 219. Aiden O'Connell, 242. Stetson Bennett, 281. Malik Cunningham, 322. Max Duggan, 327. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, 345. Sean Clifford, 358. And Tyson Bagent, 360.
Telling you now, go and watch Lindsey Scott Jr. highlights. you will be a fan very quickly.
Out of all of those people, I would take at the position given in that list, I would be going UDFA. I'm not comfortable taking Jake Kaner in round 4. Or Jaron Hall in round 4, really. But I think the best value later round person is Jaron Hall at 134. Otherwise, I'm going Stetson Bennett, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Tyson Bagent in sort of late day 3 UDFA territory.
I'm calling it now. If Tanner McKee goes in the top 100, he's biggest rip-off. 100% biggest rip-off. The last time a Stanford QB was down there, I really, really wanted him. So this is not an against the Stanford thing, but he's so overhyped, it's unreal. Someone will get ripped off, but I do day 3 pick Lindsey Scott. You will see, he will be on your big board. I guarantee you that right away.
All right. I do several updates of my big board, and if anyone wants a copy, come and join us in our Discord channel, and I'll happily give you the work that I've done so far.
You know what? A name I'll put in that second round conversation, and Ryan will agree with this with me. He's flown up boards, and he actually did benefit from it from Senior Bowl week. But Diane Henley, if you want a tweener defender, he is a linebacker, but he can play safety. Because what he was able to show during Senior Bowl week, the ability to run with tight ends and running backs was incredible. Because he's been a tweener in college, so you've not really been able to see as much on the tape. But I think he will be a day 2 pick, and I think the Lions might potentially. I think all 32 teams will be interested in him. I think he's going to rock it, but if you get Diane Henley on day 2, I'd be mega happy.
All right.
I'm with that.
Folks, there haven't been any more questions coming in, so I'm going to call... Oh, actually, Big Aries said, how about Johnson from Texas A&M as a safety nickel? I think that he's
chopped off a cliff. He was a first round. I've not actually taken note of what's happened with him, but he was well into the... He's like 20, 21, 22 during the season. Generally considered one of the best safeties in this class. But maybe people have fallen out of favour with A&Ms.
He's at 25 on the big board right now. But I think that might just be that people haven't really updated themselves yet. But we'll see. So
I think he might just have been forgotten about. He's a good player. That A&M team's been gashed this year, don't forget. So prospects can get lost on bad teams. So but we did safeties at the start of the year on the college pod. It was on that, and no big issues with him at the time. People are just afraid of A&M recruits at the minute because of how badly they tested last year. I mean, they tested really bad. Really bad.
And at some point, I'll need you to go through my big board and do any corrections that you like in terms of positions, because some people are D and some people are OLB and some people are OLB or ILB or whatever.
There's a ton of tweeners and
I know it gets really hard to...
I did it with on the Senior Bowl review. Half the linebackers are edges, or were. You know, Carter's in there, Hampton's in there. They spent their entire life at edge. Henley's played edge. It's like there's a lot of tweeners and trying to figure out what to do with them this year. So I think a lot of people don't know what's going to... You might not know more until the combine when teams start testing them out specifically for it. But a lot of the linebackers are not linebackers. Let me just tell you that.
Indeed. Right. Anyway, I'm going to call it there. Folks, thank you very much for joining us. Do join Ant and Ryan, hopefully Ryan, for the college show on Wednesday. Otherwise, enjoy the Super Bowl. If you're on Twitch, I'm going to raid Chris Buffett, who's getting ready for the POD cast. If you're on YouTube, we shall see you soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Au revoir.